Chapter 1960. Elder Guxiong. Duan Lingtian's expression turned solemn as he looked at Guxiong. I understand your good intentions in recommending me to Lord Sanctum Leader as his disciple, but I appreciate your good intentions. I already have a master. Moreover, according to the customs in my hometown, once I have a master, I'm not allowed to acknowledge a second master before obtaining the permission of that master. Otherwise, it'll be considered treason. Duan Lingtian's words were filled with conviction. You already have a master? Guxiong was surprised. He asked again, which force does your master belong to? My master is just a sectless cultivator. He doesn't belong to any force. Duan Lingtian shook his head. Duan Lingtian, think about it carefully. If you can acknowledge a golden flame elder like Lord Sanctum Leader as your master in Zoroastrianism, it'll only be beneficial to you. Guxiong advised with a solemn expression. Put everything else aside, just take the conflict between you and Lian as an example. If you can become the direct disciple of the Sanctum Leader of our Black Turtle Sanctum, Lian won't dare to make an enemy out of you even if he's 10 times more courageous. Most importantly, Lord Sanctum Leader won't mind if you have another master before this. As long as you're willing to acknowledge him as your master with your innate talent, he won't reject you. Guxiong's persuasion was also earnest and well-intentioned. In his opinion, with Duan Lingtian's blue innate spiritual root and his monstrous innate talent in comprehending divine abilities, Duan Lingtian was definitely the most sought-after martial genius with a blue innate spiritual root in Zoroastrianism. He was certain as long as he recommended Duan Lingtian to the Sanctum Leader of the Black Turtle Sanctum, the Sanctum Leader would definitely accept Duan Lingtian as his disciple without any hesitation. Elder Guxiong, you don't have to persuade me anymore. I've already made up my mind. Duan Lingtian shook his head. When he spoke again, his tone was resolute and decisive. He did not leave any room for negotiation. To be honest, he was naturally tempted by Guxiong's words. However, he still felt it was inappropriate. Put aside the fact that he would be letting down his master, Feng Qingyang, whom he had yet to meet, even if his master did not mind, he did not want to drag other people into this. That was right. He did not want to drag other people into this. He did not come to the fire worship sect to become a fire worship sect's disciple. He did not want to rise up the ranks and become a high-ranking official in the fire worship sect in the future. There was only one purpose for him to come to Zoroastrianism. That was to save his wife and daughter, to save his master. Whether or not his master's knowledge or not, he would be affected would be Duan, his master as his master as master's master, as master's masters he. A master for a master. Master to teach to Lingtian a master. Duan Lingtian. Let alone the fact that the other party was his master, if it was possible, Duan Lingtian did not want to implicate any innocent people because of his matter. Forget it. Since you've already made up your mind, I won't persuade you anymore. When Guxiong saw how resolute Duan Lingtian was, he did not try to persuade Duan Lingtian. He sighed and said, I'll pick you up in a month's time. We'll head to the first mine in the Four Symbols Sanctums. After Guxiong finished speaking, he left. He did not even bid farewell to Duan Lingtian. It was obvious he was angered by Duan Lingtian's stubbornness. After Guxiong left, Duan Lingtian returned to his residence in the Black Turtle Sanctum and returned to his Secundus house. However, he did not enter closed-door cultivation in the following month. Instead, he would occasionally comprehend the Sovereign Heart Sword and the divine abilities, the elementary devouring tactic and the otherworldly celestial, that he had mastered. As for the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, he temporarily put it aside. There's no need for me to waste my time on the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, before I see someone else casting it. This was also the reason Duan Lingtian did not continue to comprehend the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier. Apart from that, there was still room for improvement in both the divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic and the otherworldly celestial. For this reason, Duan Lingtian spent more time on them. Heaven rewarded those who worked hard. 10 months later, Duan Lingtian finally reached the threshold of the third stage of the Sovereign Heart Sword. Moreover, he had mastered the divine ability, the otherworldly celestial. However, his divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, seemed to have reached a bottleneck. It's time. Duan Lingtian left the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda with just a thought. After he put the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda away, he pushed the door open and went to the small courtyard outside his room. He sat down in front of the stone table in the courtyard. 10 months in the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda was only 1 month outside. Judging by the time, Elder Guixiong should be here soon. Duan Lingtian thought to himself as he sat in front of the stone table. At this moment, a voice resonated from the lower floor of the Secundus house he was in. Have you heard? Elder Lian's eldest direct disciple, Wei He, was executed by the Saint Land Enforcement Hall 3 days ago. Wei He was executed? Upon hearing this, Duan Lingtian could not help but feel stunned. Then another voice resonated in the air. It can't be, right? He's really executed? Just because of the news that spread earlier? Don't underestimate that news. I don't know who spread it, but it said that Wei He had challenged the Saint Land Enforcement Hall's authority and was detained by the Saint Land Enforcement Hall. The voice that came first sounded again. Perhaps the Saint Land Enforcement Hall did not intend to kill Wei He because he's a bronze flame elder and possesses a blue innate spiritual root. However, someone spread the news that Wei He had blasphemed the Saint Land Enforcement Hall and challenged the authority of the Saint Land Enforcement Hall. Wouldn't the Saint Land Enforcement Hall's authority be tarnished if they don't execute Wei He? In the fire worship sect, the Saint Land Enforcement Hall is a sacred place that cannot be desecrated. What would the others think if someone managed to survive after such a place was desecrated by someone? They would only look down on the Saint Land Enforcement Hall. One must admit that the owner of this voice had a clear understanding of this matter. Now that you mention it, you're right. However, have you heard about how Wei He blasphemed the Saint Land Enforcement Hall? The owner of the other voice asked. I've heard about this. It said that 3 months ago, our Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder Guixiong made a ruling on Duan Lingtian. For this reason, Wei He went to the Saint Land Enforcement Hall to accuse Elder Guixiong of abusing his power for personal gain. The first voice continued to say, I've heard that the Saint Land Enforcement Hall has personally sent people to our Black Turtle Sanctum to investigate. However, the results show that Wei He had slandered Elder Guixiong. Not only did Wei He not avenge his direct disciple, but he even sacrificed his own life. How pitiful. The second voice continued to enter Duan Lingtian's ears. It seems like Elder Guixiong has spread the news in the end. Duan Lingtian smiled faintly. He knew his suggestion had been accepted by the enforcement elder. Duan Lingtian. Just as Duan Lingtian was thinking about Guixiong, a voice resonated in the distance. Accompanying the voice was a tall figure. It was none other than Guixiong. Guixiong had arrived as scheduled. He brought Duan Lingtian to the Four Symbol Sanctum's first mine for his service. Elder Guixiong, did the enforcement hall of the Holy Land find out who spread the news? Duan Lingtian could not help but ask on the way to the Four Symbol Sanctum's first mine. Yes, they did. Guixiong nodded. Then he looked at Duan Lingtian deeply. It's just as you've said. After the Saint Land Enforcement Hall found out I was the one who spread the news, they didn't make things difficult for me. Everything was just as Duan Lingtian had said. Due to this reason, Guixiong was even more shocked by how meticulous Duan Lingtian was. He could not help but make up his mind. Even if he had to fall out with Lian, he would never make an enemy out of Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian gave him a feeling that was even more dangerous than Lian. Wei He's death. I'm sure Lian isn't feeling too good either, right? Duan Lingtian smiled faintly. In his opinion, Lian was the one who had tricked his eldest direct disciple, Wei He. If Lian had not told Wei He that he only possessed a yellow innate spiritual root, Wei He would not have been so foolish as to go to the Saint Land Enforcement Hall to sue the Black Turtle Sanctum's guardian elder Guixiong for abusing his power for personal gain. It could be said that Wei He had dug his own grave. And the reason why he went to seek death was also related to Lian. Wei He was sentenced to death by the Saint Land Enforcement Hall 3 days ago. The news has only reached our Black Turtle Sanctum today. Even if Lian has learned about this, he must have just learned about it not long ago, Guixiong said. That's right. Just as Guixiong had said, Lian had also just learned about Wei He being sentenced to death by the Saint Land Enforcement Hall. Bang! With a loud sound, the stone table in front of Lian collapsed and turned into dust. I've let you down. Lian's expression turned grave as his eyes turned red. His body emitted a terrifying aura that kept people away. Wei He was his eldest personal disciple, as well as his first personal disciple. He had a special relationship with this direct disciple. He even treated him like his own son. However, this direct disciple whom he treated like his own son had died. I've underestimated Duan Lingtian. I can't believe he really possesses a blue innate spiritual root. After confirming Duan Lingtian possessed a blue innate spiritual root, Lian felt pressured. Coupled with the fact that he had just learned that his eldest direct disciple had been sentenced to death by the Saint Land Enforcement Hall, He could not wait to find Duan Lingtian and kill him. Lian blamed Duan Lingtian for Wei He's death. At this moment, his desire to kill Duan Lingtian was unprecedentedly strong. Duan Lingtian, you've caused me to lose my family. I'll let you have a taste of losing your family as well. The moment Lian thought of this, his eyes flashed coldly as killing intent surged out of his body. In the next instant he left his residence and the Black Turtle Sanctum. His target was the White Tiger Sanctum. Chapter 1961. There was only one purpose for Lian to go to the White Tiger Sanctum. He wanted to look for Duan Lingtian's companion, Zhu Luqi. He still remembered when Duan Lingtian had just arrived at the Zoroastrianism, he had two companions with him. Everyone, please search for the complete answer. Damn. After some investigation, he learned that one of Duan Lingtian's companions was called Gu Li while the other was called Zhu Luqi. The former was in the Vermilion Bird Sanctum while the latter was in the White Tiger Sanctum. I don't believe that Zhu Luqi and Gu Li are like Duan Lingtian and refuse to come out. Lian snorted inwardly with a grave expression on his face. Ever since Duan Lingtian had killed Lian's grand disciple Yuan Hong, 3 months ago in the Vermilion Bird Sanctum, Lian had been lurking near the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. He was waiting for Duan Lingtian to come out. When Duan Lingtian was alone, he would capture Duan Lingtian and perform the soul-searching secret tactic on him. In the Zoroastrianism, even if Duan Lingtian was alone, he did not dare to kill Duan Lingtian. The Saint Land Enforcement Hall's methods were beyond imagination. They might even make him swear on the lightning penalty oath to confirm if he was the one who killed Duan Lingtian. He did not dare to take the risk. However, as long as he did not perform the soul-searching secret tactic on Duan Lingtian in front of other people, with his status as a Silver Flame Elder, the Saint Land Enforcement Hall would not pursue the matter even if they found out about it. Unfortunately, during these 3 months, Duan Lingtian had been in closed-door cultivation. For this reason, he could not find a suitable opportunity to perform the soul-searching secret tactic on Duan Lingtian. Today, Duan Lingtian was going to be sent by the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder Guxiong to serve in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. Lian knew he would not be able to perform the soul-searching secret tactic on Duan Lingtian for the time being. Since Duan Lingtian could not do it, he planned to find a breakthrough through Gu Li and Zhu Luqi. The White Tiger Sanctum that Zhu Luqi was in was closer to the Black Turtle Sanctum, so he went to the White Tiger Sanctum first. He did not know if he was lucky or not. As soon as he arrived at the White Tiger Sanctum, he saw Zhu Luqi, who had just left the White Tiger Sanctum's altar and was returning to the residence of the White Tiger Sanctum's disciples. However, he did not see any White Tiger Sanctum's disciples around him. Whoosh! Lian's body moved like the wind. It was as though he had transformed into a bolt of lightning as he charged toward Zhu Luqi. Who's that? When the sound of wind whistling entered his ears, horror dawned on Zhu Luqi immediately. He could tell the sound of wind whistling was coming toward him. However, at this moment horror dawned on Zhu Luqi. Before he could even react, Lian's vast and terrifying energy had already shackled him, causing him to lose his ability to move. He was completely toyed with by Lian. Following that, the scenery before Zhu Luqi's eyes kept changing. He realized he was being carried by someone and was moving at high speed. After a while, the person who was carrying him slowed down and came to a stop. He also came to a stop. Lian. Although Zhu Luqi could not see the other party's appearance clearly, it was not difficult for him to guess who the other party was. With such strength, it was obvious the other party had a motive for bringing him away from the place he was at earlier. He immediately thought of Duan Lingtian's reminder 3 months ago and the secret tactic that Duan Lingtian had taught him to defend against the soul-searching secret tactic. In the next instant, a flash appeared before Zhu Luqi's eyes as an old man appeared in front of him. He had seen this old man once when he first came to the Zoroastrianism. It was none other than Lian, the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder. As it turned out, he had guessed correctly. It's a good thing I've been circulating the secret tactic Duan Lingtian taught me. When Lian performed the soul-searching secret tactic on Zhu Luqi, this was the last thought that appeared in Zhu Luqi's mind before he completely lost consciousness. Lian stood in front of Zhu Luqi and looked at Zhu Luqi, whose eyes had completely dimmed. He asked nonchalantly, "Who are you?" Zhu Luqi. Zhu Luqi, whose eyes had lost their light, was like a walking corpse. When he heard Lian's question, he immediately answered without any hesitation. "Who's Duan Lingtian?" Lian asked again. "My friend." Zhu Luqi replied. "What's his origin? Where did he come from?" When Lian asked this question, his eyes shone with excitement. This was what he wanted to know the most. As long as he could find out about Duan Lingtian's origin, he would send the information to Yang Chong, the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect. Yang Chong would then go and deal with those who were related to Duan Lingtian. Perhaps, if they caught Duan Lingtian's relatives, they might be able to force Duan Lingtian to leave the Zoroastrianism. Once Duan Lingtian left the Zoroastrianism, he would be like a fish on a chopping board that they could do whatever they wanted to him. I don't know. However, Zhu Luqi's answer caused the excited smile on Li An's face to freeze. He asked in a deep voice, "Aren't you his friend? How come you don't know his origin?" "I only met him a few days before I came to the Zoroastrianism. I don't know his origin. He didn't mention it and I didn't ask." Zhu Luqi continued to answer Li An's question. Damn it. When Li An heard Zhu Luqi's words, his expression turned grave immediately. He knew he had been happy for nothing. Zhu Luqi did not know about Duan Lingtian's origin at all. Since Li An could not get an answer from Zhu Luqi, he did not waste any more time on Zhu Luqi and left immediately. After Li An left, Zhu Luqi's eyes regained their color. When Zhu Luqi regained his senses, he realized he was in a remote mountain forest in the White Tiger Sanctum. After a while he regained his senses and recalled what had happened. He muttered to himself, "Li An must have used the soul-searching secret tactic on me. I hope the technique Duan Lingtian taught me to resist the soul-searching secret tactic works. Otherwise, I'm afraid I would have unknowingly betrayed him." Put aside Zhu Luqi's worries, Li An had also left the White Tiger Sanctum when he did not get the answer he wanted from Zhu Luqi. He had gone to the Vermilion Bird Sanctum. He planned to wait for a chance to capture Gu Li and use the soul-searching secret tactic on him. At this moment, Li An was unaware that Gu Li had already left the Vermilion Bird Sanctum and the Zoroastrianism 3 months ago. Naturally, Duan Lingtian was unaware of Li An's little tricks in the dark. Currently, Duan Lingtian was standing next to the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder Guxiong. They were getting closer and closer to the Four-Symbol Sanctum's first mine. "Elder Guxiong, I heard there are many first-grade Saint Stones reserves in the Zoroastrianism. There's even a quasi-celestial grade Saint Stone reserve. Is the first mine where the quasi-celestial grade Saint Stone reserve is located?" Duan Lingtian asked as he looked at Guxiong. "Of course not." Guxiong shook his head and said, "The quasi-celestial grade Saint Stone reserve is very important to the Zoroastrianism, so it's not in the Four-Symbol Sanctums. Moreover, the quasi-celestial grade Saint Stone reserve has a great cultivation environment even if there's no spirit gathering formation. It's hidden underground in the center of the Saint Land. Usually it's mined by slaves, Saint Land elders and Saint Land disciples who have committed crimes and are sent there as punishment. Its existence makes the Zoroastrianism Saint Land one of the best cultivation places in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. With the help of the spirit gathering formation, it's very efficient to cultivate there." Guxiong finished his sentence in one breath. Duan Lingtian finally understood. Currently he was no stranger to quasi-celestial grade Saint Stones. For example, the Secundus house where the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples resided had quasi-celestial grade Saint Stones as the foundation of each of the 5 spirit gathering formations. Due to this reason, it was very efficient to cultivate in the Secundus house. This advantage was not something the other forces in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land could compare to. Only the other 2 great sects in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land were as bold as the Zoroastrianism to use quasi-celestial grade Saint Stones on their outer disciples. Due to the existence of the spirit gathering formation, there was no need to hold the Saint Stone in one's hand to cultivate. The spirit gathering formation would extract the heaven and earth spirit energy from the Saint Stone for the person cultivating in the formation to sense and absorb. Other than the quasi-celestial grade Saint Stone reserve, the remaining first-grade Saint Stone reserves are all in the Four-Symbol Sanctums. The first mine in the Four-Symbol Sanctums that I'll bring you to is the largest first-grade Saint Stone reserve in the Zoroastrianism. Guxiong continued to explain. With Guxiong's introduction, Duan Lingtian had a certain understanding of the first mine in the Four-Symbol Sanctums. The largest first-grade Saint Stone reserve in the Zoroastrianism's first mine was buried in the Four-Symbol Sanctum's first mine. It was divided into 2 areas, one big and one small. The big area was called the slave area. It was filled with lowly slaves with low innate talent that the Zoroastrianism had gathered from all over the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. From the moment they came to the Zoroastrianism, their fates had already been sealed. If they did not want to die, they could only obediently stay in the Zoroastrianism and mine Saint Stones for the Zoroastrianism for the rest of their lives. The small area was called the punishment area. Those who mined saint stones there were all disciples of the Zoroastrianism who had committed crimes in the four symbol sanctums. They were all punished to serve in the punishment area. The four symbol sanctums disciples served there for at least 3 to 5 years while some served there for more than 100 years. Only the first mine has the punishment area. The other mines only have the slave area, Guxiong said. Duan Lingtian nodded. Duan Lingtian nodded. With Guxiong's in-depth introduction, he had a better understanding of the first mine in the four symbol sanctums. Apart from that, Duan Lingtian also knew that the first mine of the four symbol sanctums had 2 golden flame elders guarding it. The other mines had 1 golden flame elder guarding it as well. Of the 2 golden flame elders in the first mine of the four symbol sanctums, one of them was in charge of the slave area while the other was in charge of the punishment area. The first mine of the four symbol sanctums is right in front. Guxiong's voice resonated, causing Duan Lingtian to regain his senses. Chapter 1962. Duan Lingtian followed Guxiong's gaze and saw a vast and boundless valley in front of him. There were floating islands in the sky above the valley. There were buildings on the islands that were shrouded in clouds. Due to the distance he could not see them clearly. When he looked down he could see people bustling about in the valley. Every once in a while he could see many people entering the mines. At the same time, many people would come out of the mines as well. After they came out they would head to the same place. The place in front of us is the punishment zone of the first mine. The people you see are the four symbol sanctums disciples who have committed crimes and were sent here for service. Guxiong said to Duan Lingtian, in the punishment zone, every four symbol sanctums disciple has a specific mission every day. They can only return to their residences to rest after they've completed their mission. Why are they coming in and out so frequently? Don't tell me those who have come out have already completed their tasks for the day? Duan Lingtian asked curiously. How's that possible? Guxiong shook his head. Those who have come out are there to hand in the saint stones that they've just mined. Since they don't have spatial rings, they can only send the saint stones that they've mined to the designated location. They can only rest after they've mined enough for the day. Look, they're all carrying baskets on their backs. The saint stones that they've mined are all placed in the baskets. This is also the punishment zone's rule. The saint stones that they've mined must be placed in the baskets distributed by the punishment zone. Guxiong added. Upon hearing this, Duan Lingtian began to observe carefully. He discovered that the people who were coming in and out of the punishment zone were carrying baskets on their backs. Upon closer inspection, he discovered the baskets on the backs of the people who had entered the mines were empty. As for those who came out, the baskets on their backs were full, and they were filled with holy stones. Duan Lingtian could guess why the four symbol sanctums disciples who served in the punishment zone did not have spatial rings. Their storage rings must have been confiscated by the punishment area when they first arrived here. If they kept the spatial rings, would anyone not be able to hide saint stones? Although he could ask them to remove the ownership of the storage ring every time, it was impractical to do this every day. He put away the storage rings and decided that using a wicker basket was the best choice. Duan Lingtian and Guxiong continued to walk forward. Not far ahead of them, a figure quickly approached them. It was a middle-aged man wearing the Zoroastrianism bronze flame elder uniform. However, based on the pattern on his robe, one could tell he was a Black Turtle Sanctum's bronze flame elder. Duan Lingtian was not surprised by this. On the way here, Guxiong had told him about the structure of the elders in the mining areas of the four symbol sanctums. Other than the golden flame elders and silver flame elders from the Saint Land, the remaining bronze flame elders were from the four symbol sanctums, including the Black Turtle Sanctum. Elder Guxiong. This Black Turtle Sanctum's bronze flame elder was coincidentally in charge of patrolling the southern part of the first mine's punishment zone. As a Black Turtle Sanctum's elder, he naturally knew Guxiong. When he faced Guxiong, this Black Turtle Sanctum's bronze flame elder was very humble and respectful. He even had to treat ordinary silver flame elders in the Black Turtle Sanctum with respect. Let alone this Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder. I remember you. You seem to be called Penghua? Guxiong nodded at the Black Turtle Sanctum's bronze flame elder before he asked with uncertainty. I'm Penghua. I didn't expect Elder Guxiong to remember me. Penghua was flattered when he heard Guxiong's words. As an enforcement elder, Guxiong could freely enter and leave the mining areas of the four symbol sanctums. For this reason, Guxiong and Duan Lingtian were not stopped when Penghua recognized Guxiong. This young man. Don't tell me he's Duan Lingtian, the new troublemaker in our Black Turtle Sanctum? Peng Hua's eyes widened when he saw Duan Lingtian and Duan Lingtian leaving. He stared at Duan Lingtian's back as though he had seen something shocking. He could not help but feel shocked. Although he was usually in the punishment zone in the Four Symbol Sanctum's first mine, he knew a little about what was going on outside, since there would be disciples from the Four Symbol Sanctums who made mistakes in the punishment zone every once in a while. Among them, it included the deeds of Duan Lingtian. 3 months ago, Duan Lingtian's deeds had already spread throughout the Four Symbol Sanctums. After all, he was a new disciple from the Black Turtle Sanctum who dared to fall out with the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder. It was difficult for the people from the Four Symbol Sanctums to not pay attention to him. Naturally, Duan Lingtian's name had spread throughout the Four Symbol Sanctum's first mine because of the incident 3 months ago. At that time, Duan Lingtian had killed 2 Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciples. However, he was not sentenced to death. He was only punished to serve in the Four Symbol Sanctum's first mine for 10 years. This matter could be said to have alarmed the entire Four Symbol Sanctums, including the various mines in the first mine. Now that I think about it, today is indeed the day Duan Lingtian came to serve in the first mine. The young man next to Elder Guixiong must be Duan Lingtian. Soon after, Peng Hua confirmed it. However, he's just an ordinary disciple with a yellow innate spiritual root. What right does he have to be protected by Elder Guixiong and the Saint Lands Enforcement Hall? Peng Hua could not figure it out no matter how hard he thought about it. The news of Holy Land Bronze Flame Elder Wei He going to the Saint Lands Enforcement Hall to sue the Black Turtle Sanctum's Enforcement Elder Guixiong for abusing his authority for personal gain had also spread to the first mine. Moreover, the first mine had also received the results of the Saint Lands Enforcement Hall's investigation and Wei He's death 3 days ago. Due to this reason, everyone knew Guixiong was not the only one who was protecting Duan Lingtian. Even the Saint Lands Enforcement Hall was protecting Duan Lingtian as well. Many people knew about the incident that happened in the Vermilion Bird Sanctum 3 months ago. They also knew that if they followed the proper procedures, Duan Lingtian would definitely be executed. However, Duan Lingtian did not die, and he was even protected by the Saint Lands Enforcement Hall. This made many people's imaginations run wild. However, nobody connected the fact that Duan Lingtian was protected with Duan Lingtian's innate talent. This was because the news of Duan Lingtian possessing a yellow innate spiritual root had long spread. Everyone had already assumed that Duan Lingtian's innate talent was only average. Otherwise, they would not have racked their brains to figure out how Duan Lingtian was protected by the Saint Lands Enforcement Hall. On the other hand, Duan Lingtian was led by Guixiong to the place where new disciples were registered in the first mine's punishment zone. After Guixiong brought Duan Lingtian to the place, he bade farewell to Duan Lingtian before he left. Since he had brought Duan Lingtian here, it meant that he had completed his mission. The person in charge of the registration was a Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder. When the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder found out the person who was registering was Duan Lingtian, he could not help but shudder. A hint of dread could be seen in his eyes when he looked at Duan Lingtian. His tone was polite. He did not hate Duan Lingtian for killing 2 of his Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciples 3 months ago. In his opinion, Duan Lingtian was very mysterious. Moreover, he seemed to have a powerful background. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to be protected by the Saint Lands Enforcement Hall with his yellow innate spiritual root. Duan Lingtian, according to the rules of the punishment zone, you'll have to hand in your spatial ring. Naturally, you don't have to remove the ownership of it. When the 10 years are up, you'll have your spatial ring back when you leave. The Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder said to Duan Lingtian in a friendly manner. At the same time, he took out a large basket and a few pieces of clothing and handed them to Duan Lingtian. This basket is used to store the saint stones when you're mining. According to the rules of the punishment zone, all the saint stones mined must be placed in the basket. The saint stones placed outside the basket are not counted and will not be included in the daily quota. The Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder explained to Duan Lingtian patiently. Duan Lingtian nodded. He had already learned about this from Elder Guixiong, so he was not surprised. However, this wicker basket seems to be 1 size bigger than the wicker baskets that most people carry. Along the way here, I've seen very few of the Four Symbol Sanctum's disciples serving in the punishment zone carrying such a large basket. Duan Lingtian thought to himself as he looked at the basket in his hand. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was still unaware that there were 2 types of baskets in the punishment zone. One of them was an ordinary wicker basket, which was what most of the Four Symbol Sanctum's disciples were carrying. The other type was the extra-large basket in his hand. There were less than 100 of them in the punishment zone. The volume of these baskets was twice the volume of ordinary baskets. In other words, the four symbols sanctum's disciples who had such an extra-large basket would be able to save half of the time they had to hand in their saint stones. The number of saint stones transported by such an extra-large basket was equivalent to the number of saint stones transported by ordinary baskets twice. For this reason, extra-large baskets were very popular in the punishment zone of the four symbols sanctum's first mine. If one did not have sufficient strength, one might not be able to keep it. This was also one of the trials that the four symbols sanctums of Zoroastrianism had for the disciples in the punishment zone. Only the strong were qualified to own an extra-large basket. Usually, when the four symbols sanctums disciples registered here, it would depend on their luck to see if they could obtain an extra-large basket. This was because extra-large baskets were only distributed once in a while. Apart from that, the extra-large baskets in the punishment zone were often taken back by the four symbols sanctums disciples who had completed their service. For this reason, the number of extra-large baskets in the punishment zone was limited to 80 to 90. However, there were more than 1,000 four symbols sanctums disciples in the punishment zone. Chapter 1963. It was not due to luck that Duan Ling Tian obtained the extra-large wicker basket. Instead, it was a benefit that the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder had given him. Since the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Elder was not in a position to say much, Duan Ling Tian, who had just arrived at the punishment zone, was unaware of this. Moreover, he did not know what this extra-large wicker basket represented in the punishment zone of the first mine. These are the uniforms of the four symbols sanctum's disciples serving in the punishment zone. Unlike the uniforms of the ordinary four symbols sanctum's disciples, all the four symbols sanctum's disciples in the punishment zone wear the same uniforms. The Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder continued to introduce the uniforms to Duan Ling Tian. For this reason, unless you take the initiative to say you're a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple in the punishment zone, those who don't know you won't know you're a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple. Duan Ling Tian nodded. In fact, he had already noticed this when he was on his way here. The four symbols sanctum's disciples were all wearing the same uniform. Moreover, it was not the uniform of the Azure Dragon Sanctum, White Tiger Sanctum, Vermilion Bird Sanctum, or Black Turtle Sanctum. Apart from that, there's a rule in the punishment zone that all new disciples who come to register before noon will have to mine saint stones in the mine on the same day. There's still about an hour before noon. When the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder reached this part of the sentence, he hesitated for a moment before he gritted his teeth and said to Duan Ling Tian, "Why don't you stay here for an hour? You can leave after an hour. I've only registered your name, but I haven't registered your arrival time. As long as I push back your arrival time by an hour, you won't have to mine saint stones in the mine today. You can look for a place to rest and enter the mine tomorrow." It was obvious the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder was trying to help Duan Ling Tian by abusing his position. It was so obvious that he was abusing his position for personal gain. Duan Ling Tian could not help but feel touched. He thought to himself, there are still many good people in this world. If the four symbols sanctum's disciples who came to register before noon and had to enter the mine on the same day heard this, they would be so angry that they would throw up blood. Because they didn't receive such treatment. Duan Ling Tian did not know the reason he was given such treatment was because the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder was wary of his background. After all, in the eyes of the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder, Duan Ling Tian was merely a mediocre person with a yellow innate spiritual root. The reason he was able to obtain the protection of the Saint Lands Enforcement Hall must be due to his extraordinary background. It was precisely because of this that the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder was so polite. If it was someone else, even if they came to register a second before noon, he would still chase them away with a cold face to mine holy stones. "Thank you for your care, Elder. However, it's still early today. I want to go down to the mine to familiarize myself with the environment." Duan Ling Tian thanked the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder and politely declined his offer. Since Duan Ling Tian had rejected his offer, the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder did not say anything else. In the end, he reminded Duan Ling Tian, "You can ask the others how many holy stones you need to mine since the number of holy stones won't be the same every day. Apart from that, you can also follow them to the place where you have to hand in the holy stones." "All right." Duan Ling Tian nodded and bade farewell to the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder before he left. After leaving the registration area, Duan Ling Tian changed into the uniform of the four symbols sanctum's disciples serving in the punishment zone. He carried an extra-large wicker basket on his back and blended into the crowd of people who were carrying empty wicker baskets. Duan Lingtian's addition to the crowd was particularly eye-catching due to the extra-large wicker basket on his back. Soon after, Duan Lingtian noticed many people looking at him. Do I look that much like a newbie, or a rookie? When Duan Lingtian saw these people looking at him, he could not help but feel puzzled. Until now, he still did not realize it was the extra-large wicker basket on his back that caused this. I don't think I've seen someone carrying an extra-large wicker basket before. Could he be a newbie? It's possible, but not necessarily. However, if he's a newbie, why would he have an extra-large wicker basket? According to the previous extra-large wicker basket, we'll have to wait at least 3 months before the next extra-large wicker basket is issued, right? I don't know about that. Duan Lingtian was unaware that many of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples who were staring at him were communicating with each other through voice transmissions. In the end, these Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples were no longer certain that Duan Lingtian was a newbie. This was because the extra-large wicker basket had appeared at the wrong time. Perhaps this fellow who carried an extra-large wicker basket was just a nobody who carried an ordinary wicker basket in the past. Perhaps he had suddenly shown his prowess and snatched an extra-large wicker basket today? After all, there were more than 1,000 Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples in the punishment district. It was impossible for anyone to remember the appearance of every single Four Symbols Sanctum's disciple who carried an ordinary wicker basket. They could only barely remember the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples who carried an extra-large wicker basket. They were certain that there was no such person among the 89 people who carried an extra-large wicker basket today. There were only 2 possibilities. First, this young man was a newbie who was lucky enough to obtain an extra-large wicker basket. Second, this young man was just a nobody who carried an ordinary wicker basket in the past. He had only managed to snatch an extra-large wicker basket today. Out of these 2 possibilities, the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples who were staring at Duan Lingtian were more inclined towards the latter. This was because there was a pattern to the extra-large wicker basket's appearance. They had also grasped that pattern. Because of this, they were certain that this young man was not a newbie. Under normal circumstances, the extra-large wicker basket should not have appeared in the hands of a newbie at this time. However, these Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples would never have guessed that Duan Lingtian was indeed a newbie. He was a newbie who had just arrived at the First Mines Punishment District today. As for the extra-large wicker basket on his back that did not follow the pattern, it was given to him by the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder at the registration office. All of this was because he was Duan Lingtian. It was because of his name that the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder gave him an extra-large wicker basket in order to take care of him. I really hope he's just a newbie who obtained this extra-large wicker basket because he was lucky. Many Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples stared at the extra-large wicker basket on Duan Lingtian's back. Their eyes lit up and they were almost drooling. An extra-large wicker basket. This was an extra-large wicker basket. Once they obtained an extra-large wicker basket, it would mean they would be able to reduce the distance they had to travel to Hand and Saint Stones by half. This was because the extra-large wicker basket could hold twice as many Saint Stones as an ordinary wicker basket. Since they could not figure out Duan Lingtian's background, the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples who coveted the extra-large wicker basket on Duan Lingtian's back were not in a hurry to make their move. Due to this reason, Duan Lingtian followed the flow of people and entered one of the mines in the punishment district. When Duan Lingtian entered the mine, a spectacular scene appeared. This mine seemed to have turned into a delicious cake in an instant. Compared to the other mines, the number of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples who entered this mine was 3 times more than the other mines. Why are there so many people? Naturally, Duan Lingtian noticed there were so many people following behind him. When he turned around, he saw many greedy and burning gazes on the extra-large wicker basket on his back. For a moment he could not help but be stunned. These people? Why are they looking at the wicker basket on my back? Don't tell me they want to snatch my wicker basket? Subconsciously, Duan Lingtian thought the wicker basket was a cheap item. No matter how big it was, it would not be enough to attract the attention of the Zoroastrianism disciples from the Four Symbols Sanctums. In fact, he had forgotten the most important thing. Perhaps the wicker basket was a cheap item if it was placed outside. However, in the punishment district of the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine, an extra-large wicker basket meant they would be able to reduce the distance they had to travel to Hand and Saint Stones. By saving half of the wasted time, he would be able to complete his mission earlier every day. Due to this reason, who would not want an extra-large wicker basket in the punishment district? Duan Lingtian casually picked a few people to look at. However, he discovered the wicker baskets on their backs were ordinary wicker baskets. The size of the wicker basket on his back was twice as big as the wicker basket on his back. It's just a cheap wicker basket. It shouldn't be enough for them to fight over it. I think I'm overthinking. Duan Lingtian shook his head and did not think too deeply about it. He continued to follow the crowd and walked deeper into the mine. The deeper part of the mine was the underground. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was walking through a tunnel that had been dug out that led to the underground. The deeper he went, the wider the tunnel became. Moreover, it was filled with potholes. These potholes? It seems like someone had forcefully removed something. Don't tell me. There used to be a Saint Stone mine here? Duan Lingtian could not help but speculate as he thought about it. After walking for a while, Duan Lingtian heard some noises coming from the tunnel in front of him. Boom, 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 bang, 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 boom, boom, boom. There were all kinds of noises as though they were playing a special song. After walking deeper, Duan Lingtian arrived at the source of the noises. He discovered many Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples were already mining for Saint Stones. While they were mining for Saint Stones, they displayed various divine abilities. This was an eye-opener for Duan Lingtian. Some used their fists. Some used their swords. Some used their palms. Some used their spears. There were only things that could not be seen. There seems to be more and more Saint Stone mines. At the same time, Duan Lingtian also discovered many Saint Stone mines on both sides of the tunnel. Chapter 1964. I haven't seen any elders from the punishment zone watching us along the way. However, I'm certain they're watching us. The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, he glanced to his left and right before he looked forward again. He thought to himself, they must be hiding in the dark somewhere that we can't see. Even a bronze flame elder in the punishment zone was at the Saint Celestial stage or above. It was too easy for such a person to hide from the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples below the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage. This was because most of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples above the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage could enter the Saint Land and become a Saint Land disciple. For this reason, Duan Lingtian was certain the most powerful Four Symbols Sanctum's disciple serving in the punishment zone in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine was at the intermediate Quintessential Saint stage. There's no one there. Duan Lingtian suddenly realized there was no one at a Saint Stone mine nearby. His eyes lit up immediately as he walked over. When he was close to the Saint Stone mine, Duan Lingtian raised his hand and formed a sword with his fingers. Whoosh! In just an instant, a sword ray formed by the Sun Saint energy shot out from his sword fingers and slashed toward the Saint Stone mine. However, as soon as the sword landed, Duan Lingtian discovered there was only a small portion of the Saint Stone mine. The Saint Stone mine that he had his eyes on only had a small surface, and it was very thin. When he slashed it with his sword, it was completely shattered. There was not even a single first-grade Saint Stone. How's this possible? Duan Lingtian was completely dumbfounded when he saw the Saint Stone's powder that was scattered all over the ground. Initially, he thought he would be able to dig out 10 or 8 first-grade Saint Stones from the Saint Stone mine. It did not cross his mind that this was only a small portion of the Saint Stone mine. It was strong on the outside but weak on the inside. Scam. What a scam. While Duan Lingtian was cursing inwardly, the eyes of many people behind him brightened. They could see something from Duan Lingtian's actions. He actually didn't discover such an obvious holy stone mine? All he needs to do is extend his divine sense, and he'll be able to discover that it's just a small Saint Stone deposit. There's no goods in it? He doesn't know how to use such a simple detection method? Newbie. He must be a newbie. It seems that the extra-large wicker basket on his back was obtained by luck. Although I don't know why the extra-large wicker basket didn't appear at the right time, but now I can be sure that he's just a newcomer. Humph. A newcomer shouldn't have an extra-large wicker basket. At the same time, the group of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples who had been following Duan Lingtian also communicated with their companions through voice transmissions. Based on their words, they all felt that Duan Lingtian was not qualified to possess an extra-large wicker basket. For a moment, a greedy luster appeared in their eyes. Whoosh! Just as a few of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples were about to make a move, a gust of wind blew past. One of them made a move first. With a flash, he appeared beside Duan Lingtian. When this person made his move, Duan Lingtian had already noticed him. When the person approached him, he took a few steps back unhurriedly. He looked at the middle-aged man standing in front of him calmly and asked nonchalantly, "What's the matter?" The middle-aged man standing in front of Duan Lingtian was tall and sturdy. He looked like an iron tower as he stood there. Although Duan Ling Tian's height was over 1.8 meters in front of the 2-meter-tall middle-aged man, he still seemed small and weak, purely in terms of appearance. "You're a newcomer, right?" the middle-aged man asked. His voice was as loud as a bell, causing the eardrums of many people with a weaker cultivation base to vibrate. As the middle-aged man spoke, more and more people gathered around to watch the show. Moreover, some of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples who were originally mining saint stones had also stopped what they were doing and gathered around to watch the show. The Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples who were banished to the first mine's punishment zone would naturally feel bored after staying in the punishment zone for a long time. For this reason, whenever a fight broke out, they would watch with interest. This was one of the few forms of entertainment they had in the punishment zone. Moreover, they did not have to pay any price to obtain visual enjoyment. "What's going on? Isn't that Nyo Kong? Did someone offend Nyo Kong?" "Huh. The young man who's fighting with Nyo Kong is actually carrying an extra-large wicker basket on his back. I don't think I've seen him before. Don't tell me he's a newcomer?" "No. Even if he's a newcomer, it's impossible for him to have an extra-large wicker basket. The timing doesn't match. This means he must have snatched the extra-large wicker basket on his back from someone else? He's strong enough to snatch the extra-large wicker basket from one of the 89 people. His strength isn't something Nyo Kong can compare to. What's Nyo Kong trying to do? Is he looking for trouble?" The onlookers who did not know what was going on began to whisper among themselves. However, they soon learned about the ins and outs of the matter from some of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples who were in the know. "He doesn't even know how to use his divine consciousness to investigate the Saint Stone Reserve? He chose a Saint Stone Reserve that's as thick as a fingernail to mine? Usually, only a newcomer would make such a mistake, right? He's a newcomer? If he's a newcomer, then the extra-large wicker basket on his back must have been taken for free. However, the timing doesn't seem to match. According to the past, the extra-large wicker basket shouldn't appear at this time. Let's not bother about the timing. Based on his actions, we can tell he's a newcomer. No wonder Nyo Kong charged forward. As it turns out, he's after the extra-large wicker basket on the newcomer's back. This newcomer is really unlucky to have encountered Nyo Kong. It's said that Nyo Kong's cultivation base has already reached the peak of the exemplary saint stage not long ago." The group of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples discussed among themselves. All of them felt Duan Ling Tian was going to be unlucky. Moreover, he might not even be able to keep the extra-large wicker basket on his back. The peak of the exemplary saint stage? When Duan Ling Tian heard the discussions in the surroundings, especially when he heard that the tall middle-aged man's cultivation base was only at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, he almost laughed out loud. A Four Symbols Sanctum's disciple at the peak of the exemplary saint stage actually wanted to snatch his things? Did he really think he, Duan Ling Tian, was made of paper? However, at the same time, Duan Ling Tian was also surprised. He did not expect someone would really want to snatch the wicker basket on his back. Was it necessary? Wasn't it just a lousy wicker basket? Until now, Duan Ling Tian still did not know how rare and precious the extra-large wicker basket on his back was in the punishment zone. He thought everyone would choose their own wicker basket. It did not cross his mind that not everyone had an extra-large wicker basket. Naturally, Duan Ling Tian's thoughts did not last long. As the discussions in the surroundings grew louder, Duan Ling Tian learned something from the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples around him. As it turned out, before he came to the punishment zone in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine, there were only 89 extra-large wicker baskets like the one on his back. The 89 extra-large wicker baskets were all in the hands of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples who were at the peak of the exemplary saint stage or the quintessential saint stage or above. Apart from that, although the newcomers who came to the punishment zone would be able to obtain an extra-large wicker basket, there was a time limit. It all depended on luck. Based on the time it took for a newcomer to obtain an extra-large wicker basket, by right, it would not be Duan Ling Tian's turn to obtain the extra-large wicker basket. That Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder used his authority to obtain this extra-large wicker basket for me? At this moment, Duan Ling Tian also realized this. He could not help but smile wryly. Did the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder look down on him? Did he think he would not be able to obtain an extra-large wicker basket with his own strength? However, even though he was grumbling inwardly, he still owed the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder a favor. If he had the chance in the future, he would definitely return the favor. Are you deaf? I'm asking you a question. Are you new here? Duan Ling Tian finally regained his senses when he heard Nyo Kong's thunderous voice. When he regained his senses, he noticed Niu Kang was glaring at him with an unfriendly expression. "So what if I'm new here?" Duan Lingtian asked nonchalantly. Put aside the fact that Niu Kang was only at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, even if Niu Kang was at the peak of the quintessential saint stage, he was not qualified to make Duan Lingtian cower. Good. Very good. Boy, you're very courageous. Initially, I thought I wouldn't touch you as long as you obediently hand over the extra-large wicker basket you're carrying. Niu Kang's gaze turned cold as he looked at Duan Lingtian. However, I've changed my mind. Whether you're willing to hand over the extra-large wicker basket obediently or not, I'll still teach you a good lesson. I'll let you know that in the first mine's punishment zone, newcomers have to respect the seniors. Niu Kang's words were filled with anger. As soon as his words left his mouth, a majestic aura surged out of his body. It was the aura of the Sun Saint energy that he had mobilized. Niu Kang is angry. This newcomer is really valiant. He actually dares to provoke Niu Kang. It seems like he's in for a bad time. Niu Kang has always been hot-tempered. I'm afraid this won't end well for him since he's angered Niu Kang. I only hope Niu Kang will go easy on him. Otherwise, I'm afraid this newcomer will have to lie in bed for some time. The four Symbols Sanctum's disciples discussed among themselves as they looked at Duan Lingtian pitifully. Niu Kang, is it? Under the watchful eyes of the others, Duan Lingtian took a step forward and looked at the enraged Niu Kang coldly. I'll give you a chance. Get out of my sight within the span of 3 breaths. Otherwise you'll have to bear the consequences. Although Duan Lingtian's voice was not loud, it still drowned out the discussion in the surroundings. Everyone present on the scene could hear his words clearly. The entire place fell silent immediately. Chapter 1965. You want me to get out of your sight in 3 breaths? When Niu Kang heard Duan Lingtian's threat, he was stunned just like the other 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples. When he regained his senses, he looked at Duan Lingtian as though he had just seen a ghost. At this moment he even thought he had heard wrongly. Therefore he had to confirm it. Whoosh. At the same time, the other 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples regained their senses as well. There was an uproar as they looked at Duan Lingtian as though they had just seen a ghost. Did I hear wrongly? This new disciple is threatening senior brother Niu Kang? He wants Niu Kang to get out of his sight? Is he crazy? When the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples regained their senses, they began to discuss among themselves. All of them felt this new disciple was too arrogant. In the punishment zone of the 4 Symbols Sanctum's first mine, anyone who dared to be arrogant would not have an easy time unless they were strong enough. No matter how they looked at it, they did not think this new disciple was strong at all. At the very least, they did not think this new disciple was stronger than Niu Kang. When Niu Kang heard the discussion among the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples, he immediately realized he had not heard wrongly. This new disciple was indeed threatening him. Brat, you're seeking death. Niu Kang was instantly enraged. His eyes were burning with rage as the saint energy in his body surged. It was as though a raging dragon was about to burst out at any moment. I've given you a chance. At the same time, Duan Lingtian's voice resonated in the air again. In the end, his voice suddenly turned cold. 3 breaths have passed. Whoosh, whoosh. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, the Sun Saint energy that had been accumulating for a long time shot out from his back and transformed into a pair of flaming wings. It was a shocking sight. In the next moment, the wings suddenly flapped. Boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden, a series of thunderous explosions reverberated in the air. It was the golden crow's wings on Duan Lingtian's back that caused an exaggerated commotion. Such a commotion naturally shocked many of the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples. Whoosh. Almost at the same time, Duan Lingtian, who had cast the high-grade movement divine ability, the golden crow's wings, charged toward Niu Kang at a ridiculously fast speed as though he had transformed into a cannonball that had left the barrel. Not good. As soon as Duan Lingtian cast his movement divine ability and charged toward Niu Kang finally regained his senses. His heart jolted as horror dawned on his face. Now he finally realized it. The reason why this new disciple in front of him dared to be so arrogant in front of him was because he really had the strength, and not because he was overestimating himself. Due to the fact that the saint energy in his body was ready to be unleashed, Niu Kang instantly mobilized his saint energy and cast his movement martial tactic in an attempt to dodge Duan Lingtian, who was charging toward him. Although Niu Kang's cultivation base had already broken through to the peak of the exemplary saint stage, he had yet to master any movement divine ability above the intermediate level. It made sense when one thought about it. If he had mastered a movement divine ability above the intermediate level, with his cultivation base at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, it would be easy for him to obtain an extra-large wicker basket in the punishment zone. There was no need for him to snatch a new disciple like Duan Lingtian. Your speed is too slow. Duan Lingtian's indifferent words caused Niu Kong's heart to jolt. In the next moment, just as Niu Kong was about to dodge, the golden crow's wings on Duan Lingtian's back flapped violently again. His speed instantly increased to another level. In just a blink of an eye, Duan Lingtian had already arrived next to Niu Kong. Boom! The casual palm strike contained a vast amount of Sun Saint energy. As the golden radiance shone brightly, it enveloped Niu Kong. Although Niu Kong had cast a defensive martial tactic in a hurry, he was not fully prepared. Due to this reason, there were many flaws in his defense. It was easily crushed by the Sun Saint energy on Duan Lingtian's palm. Bang! A loud noise resonated in the air as Niu Kong's body trembled before he was sent flying backward. He crashed hard on the ground, but his momentum did not diminish at all. When Niu Kong was sent flying by Duan Lingtian's palm strike, he continued to spit out blood. Blood stained the ground. It was a ghastly sight. The Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples' expressions changed drastically when they saw this. They could not help but inwardly gasp. Niu Kong, a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, was completely powerless in front of this new disciple. In just one blow he was severely injured. I'll give you a chance. Get out of my sight in the span of 3 breaths. Otherwise you'll have to bear the consequences. The new disciple's threatening words to Niu Kong reverberated in the ears of many Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples. Although they had said the same thing, their reactions were completely different. Before the conflict began, all of them felt this new disciple was too arrogant and overestimating his own strength. However, now that they saw this new disciple severely injuring Niu Kong in just one blow, they realized this new disciple was not overestimating his own strength. He was truly powerful. Which sanctum of the Four Symbols Sanctums did he commit a mistake and was banished to the first mind's punishment zone? When the group of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples shifted their attention to Duan Lingtian again, they could not help but feel puzzled. Based on this new disciple's strength, he was definitely at the quintessential saint stage. Quintessential saint stage disciples were not nameless people in the Four Symbols Sanctums. However, although the Four Symbols Sanctums disciples were from different sanctums, they looked at each other. None of them knew this new disciple. Don't tell me he's a new disciple who committed a mistake and was banished to the first mind not long after he joined Zoroastrianism? Many of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples began to speculate. How dare you try to snatch my belongings with such strength? Duan Lingtian glanced coldly at Niu Kong, who was lying in the dark. Horror dawned on Niu Kong's face as he apologized profusely. Niu Kong failed to recognize Mao Tai earlier. Please forgive me, senior brother. He apologized because he was worried Duan Lingtian would attack him again. Although Zoroastrianism did not allow fellow disciples to kill each other, as long as one did not injure or kill one's fellow disciples, it would not be a problem since it did not violate the rules of Zoroastrianism. Didn't you say you're going to teach me a lesson? Duan Lingtian asked nonchalantly when he saw Niu Kong had admitted defeat. The anger on his face had subsided a lot. I dare not. I dare not. Niu Kong quickly lowered his head, not daring to look at Duan Lingtian anymore. He was afraid Duan Lingtian would attack him again in a fit of anger. Humph? Duan Lingtian snorted coldly and no longer bothered with Niu Kong. He continued to walk deeper into the tunnel. After learning about the significance of the extra-large wicker basket in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mind's punishment zone, Duan Lingtian felt it was understandable that Niu Kong wanted to snatch his extra-large wicker basket. However, Niu Kong was unlucky because he was not as strong as Duan Lingtian. Otherwise, his extra-large wicker basket would have already been in Niu Kong's possession. After all, Niu Kong only wanted to snatch his extra-large wicker basket from the beginning until the end. He did not intend to kill him at all. Snatching wicker baskets was a very common thing in the punishment zone. Due to this reason, Duan Lingtian did not continue to argue with Niu Kong. Earlier, when Duan Lingtian was still around, the group of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples did not even dare to breathe loudly. However, when they saw Duan Lingtian's silhouette gradually disappearing, they heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, they could not help but discuss among themselves. Who's he? There's no doubt he's a quintessential saint stage powerhouse. I'm a White Tiger Sanctum's disciple, but before I was banished to the first mine, I've never heard of such a person in our White Tiger Sanctum. I'm a Azure Dragon Sanctum's disciple, but I've never heard of such a person in our Azure Dragon Sanctum as well. I'm from the Vermilion Bird Sanctum, but I've never heard of such a quintessential Saint Stage disciple in our Vermilion Bird Sanctum either. I'm from the Black Turtle Sanctum. Just like all of you, I don't recognize him. The group of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples discussed among themselves. Based on their words, it was obvious they were curious about Duan Lingtian's identity. That pair of flaming wings that appeared behind his back just now should be an extremely powerful movement divine ability. Soon after, a Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples' attention shifted to the high-grade movement divine ability, the Golden Crow's Wings, that Duan Lingtian had cast earlier. His voice was filled with shock. I've never seen such a movement divine ability before. I've never heard of it before. However, it feels like it's in no way inferior to our Vermilion Bird Sanctum's most treasured movement divine ability. Moreover, its visual effect is much stronger than our Vermilion Bird Sanctum's most treasured movement divine ability. That's right. The movement divine ability he cast is too powerful. That pair of powerful wings seemed as though they really grew out of his body. It doesn't look out of place at all. I feel the same way as well. The group of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples was shocked by the movement divine ability that Duan Lingtian had cast earlier. I remember now. All of a sudden, a sharp voice resonated in the air. It drowned out everyone's discussion and attracted everyone's attention. The person who spoke was a skinny Four Symbols Sanctum's disciple. He looked like a thief. His small eyes kept darting around. One could tell he was up to no good with just a glance. Don't tell me all of you have forgotten? When the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciple saw everyone looking at him, he said excitedly, "There's a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who's going to be banished to the First Mind's punishment zone. Weren't we all talking about him earlier? Also, among the 3 high-grade movement divine abilities that Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple mastered, isn't there a high-grade movement divine ability that has wings on his back?" Upon hearing the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples' words, the group of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples narrowed their eyes. Gasp, 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 gasp. Immediately after, the sound of people inhaling cold air swept through the underground mine tunnel, and the sound of people landing on the ground could be heard. Chapter 1966. After the sound of people gasping gradually died down, the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples present on the scene, including Niu Kong, looked at each other. They could see the same answer in each other's eyes. Everyone, please search for the complete answer. Damn. Duan Lingtian. In the next instant, many Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples cried out in surprise. Their expressions were interesting. How could I have forgotten about him? 3 months ago, one of the 2 Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciples he killed was said to be at the early quintessential saint stage. Even if his strength is not at the intermediate quintessential saint stage, it's definitely close to the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Rumor has it that he only has a yellow innate spiritual root. Logically speaking, an ordinary disciple with a yellow innate spiritual root might not even be able to break through to the quintessential saint stage. However, he managed to kill an early quintessential saint stage Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciple. I heard his cultivation base has yet to break through to the quintessential saint stage. The reason he's so strong is because of the 3 high-grade divine abilities he has mastered. Put aside his innate spiritual root, just his innate talent in mastering divine abilities is unrivaled in Zoroastrianism. After all, those are 3 high-grade divine abilities. In Zoroastrianism, even Lord Sect Leader has only mastered 3 high-grade divine abilities. The most surprising thing is he killed the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciples for no reason, but the Saint Land Enforcement Hall still protected him. Moreover, there was even a Saint Land Bronze Flame Elder with a blue innate spiritual root who went to the Saint Land Enforcement Hall to make a fuss about him killing the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciples. In the end, he was sentenced to death as well. I'm sure Duan Lingtian's innate talent in martial Dao might be ordinary, but his innate talent in divine abilities is extraordinary. Of course, the most extraordinary thing about him is his mysterious and unpredictable background. You're right. If it's not for his extraordinary background, why would the Saint Land Enforcement Hall protect him? After learning the new disciple was Duan Lingtian, the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples discussed among themselves. They were no longer surprised by his strength. After all, they had heard of Duan Lingtian's strength before. So he is Duan Lingtian. A bitter smile appeared on Niu Kong's face. If he had known that this person was Duan Lingtian, he would not have dared to snatch the extra-large wicker basket from him even if he was given 100 guts. At the same time, Many Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples looked at Niu Kang with pity in their eyes. Although Niu Kang's strength was not bad, it could not be compared to Duan Ling Tian. At this moment, Duan Ling Tian was unaware that the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples had already guessed his identity. Continuing deeper into the mine, Duan Ling Tian continued mining. With his current strength, the entire mining process was very smooth. Not long after, the extra-large basket on his back was filled to the brim with first-grade saint stones. These saint stone ores were of different sizes. They had not been polished and were very rough. I actually didn't encounter a quasi-celestial grade holy stone. Duan Ling Tian was a little disappointed that he didn't find any quasi-immortal grade saint stones after digging up a basket full of first-grade saint stones. Now that the basket is full, it's time to hand in these saint stones. I wonder how many baskets of first-grade saint stones I'll need to fill up for today's mission? Duan Ling Tian thought to himself as he thought to himself. In fact, it would not take long for Duan Ling Tian to fill up a basket full of first-grade saint stones. It was precisely because he had secretly sent many first-grade saint stones into the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda that he had wasted some time. Naturally, he did not waste much time. If Duan Ling Tian was not worried that he would be discovered if he hid too many first-grade saint stones, he would not have stopped until now. I'll continue mining next time. For now, I'll stop for now. With this thought in mind, Duan Ling Tian carried the extra-large basket full of first-grade saint stones and returned the way he came. Along the way, he became the center of attention. It's Duan Ling Tian. When Duan Ling Tian heard the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples exclaiming, he realized he had been recognized. I can't believe I'm recognized so quickly, Duan Ling Tian shook his head inwardly. Meanwhile, along the way, Duan Ling Tian discovered the people who were tailing him had disappeared. He did not find this strange. At this moment, he finally understood why there were so many people following him when he entered the mine. As it turned out, they had their eyes on the extra-large basket on his back. However, after he had revealed his strength and revealed his identity, those people no longer dared to covet the extra-large basket on his back. What a joke. In the punishment zone of the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine, including the extra-large basket on Duan Ling Tian's back, there were a total of 90 extra-large baskets. However, there were only 50 to 60 people at the quintessential saint stage or above in the punishment zone. In other words, there were many elites at the peak of the exemplary saint stage who possessed extra-large baskets as well. Unless there was something wrong with their heads, the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples in the punishment zone would rather snatch the extra-large baskets from those powerhouses at the peak of the exemplary saint stage instead of coveting the extra-large basket in Duan Ling Tian's hand. Duan Ling Tian was a powerful person who could even kill an early quintessential saint stage martial cultivator. His strength was comparable to an intermediate quintessential saint stage powerhouse. Senior brother, do you know how many saint stones we have to mine today to complete the mission? When Duan Ling Tian was about to leave the mine, he noticed many Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples were still walking out. He walked up to a middle-aged man who was walking out and asked politely, "Senior brother Duan Ling Tian, you can just call me junior brother? I don't dare to be called senior brother in front of you." When the middle-aged man saw Duan Ling Tian appearing in front of him, he was already anxious. When he heard Duan Ling Tian calling him senior brother, he looked like a mouse that had just encountered a cat. He was also present when Duan Ling Tian injured Niu Kang with just a blow. Due to this reason, he knew the person before him was Duan Ling Tian, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who had just been banished to the punishment zone of the first mine. He was only an intermediate exemplary saint stage martial cultivator, so it was only natural that he was anxious when he saw Duan Ling Tian. Based on the extra-large basket you're carrying, senior brother Duan Ling Tian, you'll only need 6 baskets to complete the mission today. Although the middle-aged man was anxious, he did not dare to slack off when faced with Duan Ling Tian's question. Thank you. When Duan Ling Tian saw the middle-aged man was so afraid of him, he merely shook his head and did not say anything else after he thanked him. Whoosh. In the next instant, Duan Ling Tian's body moved, and his speed increased a lot. Soon after he left the mine. 6 baskets. Based on the speed I mined the first-grade saint stones earlier, I'll only need 15 minutes to fill up a basket of first-grade saint stones. However, I'll need another 15 minutes to throw the first-grade saint stones into the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. Let's just say it'll take half an hour. 6 baskets. I'll need 3 hours. Including the time needed to transport the saint stones, it won't take more than 4 hours. After leaving the mine, Duan Ling Tian calculated in his heart. At the same time, he followed the crowd and made his way to the place where he had to hand in the saint stones. With the extra-large saint stones on his back, Duan Lingtian was destined to be the center of attention. Along the way he attracted the attention of many Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples. These gazes were filled with envy, jealousy and greed. When some of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples saw Duan Lingtian, they suspected he was a newcomer. At the same time, they also had designs on the extra-large basket on Duan Lingtian's back. However, when these Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples learned about Duan Lingtian's identity from some of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples who knew about Duan Lingtian's identity, horror dawned on them immediately. At the same time they suppressed the greed in their hearts. What a joke. This was Duan Lingtian, a powerhouse who had killed an early quintessential Saint Stage Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciple. If they tried to snatch his basket they would be digging their own graves. When Duan Lingtian arrived at the place where the Saint Stone ores were to be handed over, one of the White Tiger Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elders who was in charge of collecting Saint Stone ores was also attracted by Duan Lingtian. An extra-large wicker basket? This person looks unfamiliar. Duan Lingtian? However, when he was registering Duan Lingtian, the White Tiger Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder learned about Duan Lingtian's name. Since he was Duan Lingtian, it was not strange for him to have an extra-large basket. After all, Duan Lingtian's strength was obvious. Similar to the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder, the White Tiger Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder was very polite to Duan Lingtian after learning about his identity. Duan Lingtian, you can just deliver this basket of Saint Stones today? You've just arrived at the first mine so it's better for you to rest first. Based on the White Tiger Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder's words, it seemed like he intended to help Duan Lingtian. There's no need for that. Upon hearing the White Tiger Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder's words, Duan Lingtian immediately became anxious and rejected the Bronze Flame Elder's suggestion. What a joke. He still wanted to stay in the mine a little longer because the longer he stayed, the more first-grade holy stone ores he could send into the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. Although a first-grade Saint Stone mine was not of much use to him, who practiced Zoroastrianism. However, he did not hide the first-grade Saint Stone mine for himself. Instead, he hid it for his family and friends. To the Azure Cloud Mansion that was located in the Debussy Subterranean, a large amount of first-grade Saint Stones was definitely a huge fortune. It could even raise the overall strength of the Azure Cloud Mansion by more than one level. Although the White Tiger Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder did not know why Duan Lingtian rejected his good intentions, he did not say anything since Duan Lingtian insisted. After spending another 3 hours, Duan Lingtian successfully completed his mission for the day. Next, it's time for me to look for a place to stay. It's said that the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples' residence in the punishment zone in the first mine of the Four Symbols Sanctums has a cultivation environment that's similar to the Primus houses in the Four Symbols Sanctums. I, Duan Lingtian, want that mansion. His eyes gleamed as he made up his mind. Chapter 1967. The residence of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples in the punishment zone of the first mine of the Four Symbols Sanctums had many cultivation residences. Similar to the sanctums of the Four Symbols Sanctums, they were divided into Primus houses, second houses, third houses and fourth houses. They were arranged in the shape of a four-tiered pyramid. However, since there were not many Four Symbols Sanctums disciples in the punishment zone of the first mine of the Four Symbols Sanctums, there were not many cultivation residences. For example, each of the Four Symbols Sanctums disciples had 10 Primus houses, but there was only one here. There were only 10 second houses. There were only 100 third houses. There were more fourth houses. There were a total of 2,000 fourth houses. When Duan Lingtian arrived at the residence of the Four Symbols Sanctums disciples in the punishment zone of the first mine of the Four Symbols Sanctums disciples, he immediately fixed his gaze on the floating island at the highest point. The floating island was suspended at the highest point. It was like a moon surrounded by stars. It was like a crane among chickens. It was extremely eye-catching. He's not here? Duan Lingtian, who was hovering near the Primus house where the Four Symbols Sanctums disciples stayed in the punishment zone, extended his divine consciousness. He discovered the Primus house was empty. It seems like the person staying in the Primus house hasn't returned yet. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. At the same time, Duan Lingtian decided to wait here for the owner of the Primus house to return. Since he's able to stay in the Primus house, he must be one of the most outstanding disciples among the Four Symbols Sanctums disciples in the first mine of the punishment zone. In fact, he can be said to be the strongest among the Four Symbols Sanctums disciples in the first mine of the punishment zone. Although Duan Lingtian knew his opponent was powerful, he was not afraid at all. Currently, his cultivation base had already reached the peak of the Divine Saint stage. Just his Sun Saint energy alone was comparable to the Saint energy of an ordinary powerhouse at the peak of the Exemplary Saint stage. For this reason, with the help of his divine ability, the Golden Crow's Wings, he was able to toy with Niu Kong, whose cultivation base had just broken through to the peak of the Exemplary Saint stage. With just a single blow, he had severely injured Niu Kong. In terms of Saint energy alone, he was not inferior to Niu Kong. Naturally, it was easy for him to defeat Niu Kong. Of course, defeating Niu Kong did not give Duan Lingtian any sense of accomplishment. It was to the extent that even if he defeated the current owner of the Primus House, Duan Lingtian would not feel much of a sense of accomplishment. When Duan Lingtian's cultivation base was at the intermediate Divine Saint stage, he could easily kill an ordinary early quintessential Saint stage martial cultivator with the various divine abilities he had mastered. His strength was comparable to an intermediate quintessential Saint stage martial cultivator. Currently, his cultivation base had made 2 consecutive breakthroughs and had broken through to the peak of the Divine Saint stage. In other words, his current strength was so strong that it surpassed most mastery quintessential Saint stage martial cultivators. It was almost comparable to a martial cultivator at the peak of the quintessential Saint stage. Naturally, the prerequisite for him to be able to overpower a mastery quintessential Saint stage martial cultivator was that his opponent did not master any powerful divine abilities, especially high-grade divine abilities. Otherwise, there would be too many uncertainties. Even Duan Lingtian would not dare to say he would win easily. Isn't that Duan Lingtian? Why is he standing outside the Primus house? Soon after, 2 Four-Symbol Sanctum's disciples returned from their mission. When they saw Duan Lingtian standing outside the Primus house with an extra-large wicker basket on his back, they could not help but be stunned. Don't tell me he's going to challenge senior brother Sunda in the Primus house? Soon after, one of them regained his senses. His eyes widened as he asked in disbelief. That's possible. The other person nodded. He's crazy. He's really crazy. Does he think the early quintessential Saint stage Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciple whom he killed can compare to senior brother Sunda? Senior brother Sunda is someone who has half a foot in the mastery quintessential Saint stage. He could break through to the mastery quintessential Saint stage at any time. That's right. Once senior brother Sunda breaks through to the mastery quintessential Saint stage, he'll have a chance to become a Saint Lan disciple. On the day he becomes a Saint Lan disciple, he'll be exempted from his previous punishment and leave the first mine. The 2 Four-Symbol Sanctum's disciples spoke highly of the owner of the Primus house, a Four-Symbol Sanctum's disciple called Sunda. Based on their words, they did not think Duan Lingtian was a match for Sunda. However, when they saw Duan Lingtian standing in the air outside the Primus house with his eyes closed as he waited for Sunda's return, they did not return to their own residences in a hurry. Instead, they accompanied Duan Lingtian as they waited for Sunda's return. As time passed by, more and more Four-Symbol Sanctum's disciples returned. When they saw Duan Lingtian's intention of seizing the Primus house, none of them were in a hurry to return to their own residences. Instead, they waited for Sunda's return with great interest. This Duan Lingtian actually wants to challenge senior brother Sunda? Senior brother Sunda is the strongest powerhouse among the Four-Symbol Sanctum's disciples in the First Mine's punishment zone. He's someone who has half a foot in the mastery quintessential Saint stage. That's not all. Senior brother Sunda has even mastered 2 medium-grade divine abilities. It's said that he has already comprehended most of the Black Turtle Sanctum's most treasured divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier. Before he was banished to the First Mine, he's widely acknowledged as one of the Black Turtle Sanctum's most treasured divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier. Senior brother Sunda is a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, and Duan Lingtian is also a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple. This is going to be interesting. More and more Four-Symbol Sanctum's disciples gathered to watch. Their whispers were heard by Duan Lingtian. Someone who has half a foot in the mastery quintessential Saint stage? One of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who has the highest chance of comprehending the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier. The former did not make Duan Lingtian feel pressured at all. However, the latter caused ripples in Duan Lingtian's heart. If Sunda really manages to comprehend the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, it'll be a good thing for me. In the past, Duan Lingtian was eager to witness someone casting the Black Turtle Sanctum's most treasured divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, with his own eyes. This was because he discovered that he could only cast a divine ability. Only by witnessing someone perform a divine ability with his own eyes would he be able to successfully comprehend the divine ability in a short period of time with the Sovereign Heart Sword, which had been tempered thousands of times. Senior brother Sunda is back. Duan Lingtian only opened his eyes when someone exclaimed in surprise. He saw the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciple, Sunda, flying toward him under everyone's watchful eyes. Sunda was a middle-aged man. He looked inconspicuous, but he gave off a simple and unadorned feeling. No matter how noisy the surroundings were, his expression did not change at all. From the beginning until the end, he had a solemn expression as though someone owed him money. "You want to challenge me?" Sunda asked calmly when he arrived near Duan Lingtian. He looked at Duan Lingtian, who had turned around. "Please enlighten me, senior brother Sunda." Duan Lingtian nodded. "Make your move." Sunda was very straightforward. As soon as he finished speaking, a majestic aura surged out of his body. It was the aura of the majestic saint energy that he had mobilized in his body. As soon as the saint energy appeared on the surface of his body, it caused ripples to form in the air around him. The aura of an intermediate quintessential saint stage powerhouse swept out in all directions. Elementary devouring tactic. Duan Lingtian's heart jolted. The sun saint energy in his body instantly extended out through his 99 saint veins as he cast his high-grade assist-type divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic. In just a blink of an eye, a whirlpool that was clearly visible appeared with his body as the center. As the whirlpool twisted and spun rapidly, a powerful suction force appeared. In just a few moments, it devoured all the heaven and earth spirit energy in the surroundings. It's Duan Lingtian's high-grade assist-type divine ability. What a terrifying assist-type divine ability. In just a blink of an eye, I feel like all the heaven and earth spirit energy in the surroundings is being devoured by him. I can't even sense how much heaven and earth spirit energy there is in the surroundings. His saint energy is constantly increasing. As Duan Lingtian cast the divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, the group of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples' attention was attracted by the whirlpool that overlapped with his body. Although they had heard that Duan Lingtian had mastered a powerful high-grade assist-type divine ability, they could not help but feel shocked when they witnessed it with their own eyes. At this moment, as Duan Lingtian cast this high-grade assist-type divine ability, they could clearly sense that Duan Lingtian's saint energy was constantly increasing. As it turned out, Duan Lingtian's sun saint energy was only comparable to the saint energy at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. After that, Duan Lingtian's sun saint energy continued to increase. First, it gradually increased to the saint energy at the early quintessential saint stage. Then, it successfully increased to the saint energy at the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Since then, Duan Lingtian's sun saint energy did not continue to increase. Even so, Duan Lingtian's sun saint energy had already increased to the point where it was comparable to Sunda's saint energy. Both of their saint energies were at the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Naturally, unlike Sunda, Duan Lingtian's saint energy was only increased by the assist-type divine ability. It would not last for long. Previously, when Duan Lingtian defeated Niu Kong, I was there as well. However, I didn't notice if Duan Lingtian had cast any assist-type divine ability. Now, it seems like Duan Lingtian did not cast any assist-type divine ability during his battle with Niu Kong. Currently, Duan Lingtian, who has cast his assist-type divine ability, has actually increased his saint energy to the intermediate quintessential saint stage in such a short period of time. In fact, when he had increased his saint energy to the peak of the exemplary saint stage, he was able to kill an early quintessential saint stage disciple in the Vermilion Bird Sanctum. Currently, I'm afraid it won't be difficult for him to defeat senior brother Sunda. Heavens! Duan Lingtian's strength has actually increased to such a level in just 3 months. Is he really just a mediocre person with a yellow innate spiritual root? Chapter 1968. Many of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples present on the scene knew Duan Lingtian had defeated Niu Kong. However, they thought Duan Lingtian had used his high-grade assist-type divine ability to defeat Niu Kong. However, they finally realized Duan Lingtian might not have used his assist-type divine ability when he defeated Niu Kong. Before he used his assist-type divine ability, his saint energy was already at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. In other words, his current cultivation base is most likely at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. How's this possible? In fact, his cultivation base was only at the intermediate exemplary saint stage 3 months ago. He managed to break through from the intermediate exemplary saint stage to the peak of the exemplary saint stage in just 3 months? I'm afraid only those monstrous geniuses with indigo innate spiritual roots would be able to achieve such a feat. Duan Lingtian only has a yellow innate spiritual root. How's it possible for his cultivation base to improve so quickly? Something must have gone wrong. Could it be that something went wrong when the Black Turtle Sanctum tested his innate spiritual root? Even after he killed his fellow disciples, the Saint Land Enforcement Hall still protected him. Could it be because he displayed his true martial Dao innate spiritual root? Now that you mention it, it's possible. If that's the case, everything makes sense now. The group of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples whispered among themselves. They began to suspect Duan Lingtian's innate spiritual root was a high-grade innate spiritual root. Otherwise, how was it possible for his cultivation base to break through from the intermediate exemplary saint stage to the peak of the exemplary saint stage in just 3 months? I don't think so. At this moment, a Four Symbols Sanctum's disciple suddenly spoke. His voice was so loud that it drowned out most of the voices in the crowd. After successfully attracting the attention of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples, he continued to say, based on what I know, when Duan Lingtian first came to the Zoroastrianism, he used a special technique to conceal his cultivation base. I'm thinking the cultivation base at the intermediate exemplary saint stage that he displayed earlier might be his cultivation base after he hit it? The Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples' words caused many disciples to recall the rumors about Duan Lingtian. That seems to be the case. It's possible. If that's the case, it makes sense. However, I can't believe Duan Lingtian has concealed his cultivation base. Duan Lingtian's cultivation base's cultivation innate spiritual roots cultivation base spiritual root, cultivation base. Based on the 3 high-grade divine abilities that Duan Lingtian has mastered and his past attacks, even if his cultivation base is only at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, he'll be able to display strength comparable to a mastery quintessential saint stage martial cultivator for a short period of time. At this time, the situation at the scene became even more muddy. Four Symbols Saint Marshals' Ation's disciples' made 4 maids, however, the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples present on the scene were certain of one thing. Currently, Duan Lingtian's assist-type divine ability had raised his strength so he was much stronger than Sunda. At the same time, Sunda's expression changed for the first time, becoming solemn. It was apparent he felt the pressure as well. After witnessing Duan Lingtian's strength, Sunda no longer dared to be careless. With just a raise of his hand, a 7-foot-long spear appeared in his hand. As saint energy surged into it, the spear ray grew brighter. Senior brother Sunda has taken out his 100 inscription saint weapon. It seems like he's feeling the pressure from Duan Lingtian's strength. Of course. However, even if senior brother Sunda has taken out his 100 inscription saint weapon, there shouldn't be any suspense in this battle. Perhaps he'll be able to fight with Duan Lingtian if his cultivation base has broken through to the mastery quintessential saint stage and mastered the Black Turtle's barrier, That's right. Although Duan Lingtian won't be able to last long with his current strength, it won't be difficult for him to defeat senior brother Sunda in a short time with his strength and 3 high-grade divine abilities. In the beginning, the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples present on the scene thought highly of Sunda. However, now that they had witnessed Duan Lingtian's strength, they thought even more highly of Duan Lingtian. Under the watchful eyes of the others, Sunda chose to make the first move. His figure flashed like a phantom as he charged toward Duan Lingtian. Boom. Rumble. At the same time, the 100 inscription saint spear in Sunda's hand trembled as a vast amount of saint energy swept out. It caused the air to tremble as a loud explosion rang in the air. Golden Crow's wings. However, in the face of Sunda who was charging toward him with his spear, Duan Lingtian cast his movement divine ability, the Golden Crow's wings, at a speed that was neither fast nor slow. In just a blink of an eye, a pair of flaming wings appeared behind Duan Lingtian. Without warning, the Golden Crow's wings flapped forcefully. Boom, 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 boom. Accompanied by a series of thunderous air explosions that shook the sky, Duan Lingtian's figure flashed and easily dodged Sunda who was charging at him head-on at an extremely fast speed. Sunda's speed was nothing compared to the divine ability, the Golden Crow's wings, that he had cast. Since he knows he can't catch up to me, he's giving up? After dodging Sunda's attack, Duan Lingtian realized Sunda had stopped moving at the spot where he was standing. He could not help but think to himself, "Chem?" However, before Duan Lingtian could think of anything else, he noticed Sunda had made his move again. Sunda extended his arm and lifted the 100 inscription saint spear in his hand. The tip of the spear pointed upwards as he pointed it at Duan Lingtian's head. In an instant, Duan Lingtian's divine consciousness could clearly feel a mysterious energy shooting out from Sunda's 100 inscriptions saint spear. It was extremely fast as it shot toward the sky above his head. This mysterious energy was invisible. If it was not for Duan Lingtian's divine consciousness, he would not have noticed it. However, since this energy did not attack Duan Lingtian did not do anything. He only lifted his head to look at the sky above his head. What's he doing? Duan Lingtian was puzzled. However, in the next moment his pupils could not help but shrink. As he lifted his head, he saw the sky above his head. As the mysterious power from Sunda's 100 patterned saint spear struck the space above his head, the space immediately trembled and seemed to distort. Boom, 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 boom. In the next moment, with the sound of thunder, bolts of lightning that were as thick as a baby's arm appeared in the distorted void. They gathered in the blink of an eye. Over 100 thick bolts of purple lightning floated in the air, looking very strange. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. Fall. At this moment, Sunda's roar rang in Duan Lingtian's ears. When Duan Lingtian glanced at Sunda from the corner of his eye, he saw Sunda shake the 100 inscription saint spear in his hand and press the tip of the 100 inscription saint spear down. Boom, 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 boom. As soon as Sunda made his move, a series of earth-shattering thunderclaps resonated above Duan Lingtian's head. Hundreds of bolts of lightning that were as thick as a baby's arm appeared as well. Tao Cultivator. Upon seeing this, Duan Lingtian's eyes widened again. His expression turned solemn when he realized Sunda was not a martial cultivator but a Tao cultivator. Although Duan Lingtian had encountered Tao cultivators since he came to the Tao martial saint land, he did not encounter many Tao cultivators. He had always been puzzled by this. In the Tao martial saint land, Tao and martial referred to Tao cultivators and martial cultivators. However, why was it that after coming to the Tao martial saint land for such a long time and coming to the upper province from the distant lower province, he had not met many Tao cultivators? Duan Lingtian could only console himself that it was a matter of luck. However, now he had finally met a Tao cultivator. Moreover, it was a Tao cultivator with extraordinary strength. The moment he made his move, he mobilized the heaven and earth energy and transformed it into hundreds of bolts of lightning that were as thick as a baby's arm. They rained down on Duan Lingtian. Each bolt of lightning was extremely fast. It was not any slower than an ordinary intermediate quintessential saint stage martial cultivator. There seems to be more than just traces of Tao techniques in these bolts of lightning. There are traces of divine abilities as well. Faced with the thick bolts of lightning that covered the sky, Duan Lingtian could clearly sense something when he extended his divine consciousness and came into contact with the bolts of lightning. The Tao technique, the 100 thunderclaps, that senior brother Sunda has cast seems to be completely different from the 100 thunderclaps he had cast in the past. Didn't he cultivate this Tao technique to the highest stage a long time ago? When the hundreds of bolts of lightning that were as thick as a baby's arm rained down on Duan Lingtian and were about to devour him, the four symbols sanctum's disciples who were watching by the side also noticed something. Isn't this the aura of the intermediate offensive divine ability, the unstoppable thunderbolt? At the same time, some people also noticed the profundity of Sunda's attack. Not only did it contain the Tao technique, the 100 thunderclaps, but it also contained the intermediate offensive divine ability, the unstoppable thunderbolt. 100 thunderclaps? Unstoppable thunderbolt? Duan Lingtian raised an eyebrow. Faced with the hundreds of bolts of lightning that were as thick as a baby's arm, he did not dodge them. Instead he stood still on the spot. Myriad sword territory. At this moment, with Duan Lingtian as the center, the area within a 100-meter radius of him had become a golden ocean formed by 10,000 golden sword rays. It completely blocked everyone's line of sight including Sunda's. Open. With just a thought from Duan Lingtian, a huge opening suddenly appeared on top of the myriad sword territory. The hundreds of bolts of lightning that were as thick as a baby's arm entered the opening. Duan Lingtian was instantly exposed to the hundreds of bolts of lightning. Chapter 1969. Duan Lingtian, who had transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, was completely exposed to the hundreds of bolts of lightning that were as thick as a baby's arm. Even then, Duan Lingtian was still like a towering mountain that stood there without moving. The lightning flashed and purple light flashed, causing the dragon scales on Duan Lingtian's body to reflect dazzling rays of light. Boom, 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 boom. Finally, the hundreds of thick bolts of lightning struck Duan Lingtian's body and completely engulfed Duan Lingtian. The power of each of the hundreds of bolts of lightning was not inferior to the attack of an early quintessential Saint stage martial cultivator. When they were close to Duan Lingtian, they gathered together and struck Duan Lingtian's body at the same time. At this moment, Duan Lingtian only felt a vast, majestic and terrifying energy surging toward him and pressing down on his body with a loud bang. After a while, Duan Lingtian discovered that the nine-clawed dragon warrior's body was not weak at all. Although the energy caused his body to tremble and his organs to vibrate, it did not hurt him at all due to the powerful physical body of a nine-clawed dragon warrior that had merged with the Sun Saint energy. Although the impact was strong, it did not break through the defense on the surface of his body. The physical body of a nine-clawed dragon warrior combined with the Sun Saint energy that was comparable to an intermediate quintessential Saint stage powerhouse easily blocked Sunda's attack that contained both Dao method and divine ability. As expected of a nine-clawed dragon warrior whose physical defense is comparable to an eight-clawed divine dragon, Duan Lingtian secretly heaved a sigh of relief. With Sunda's cultivation base, this attack must be his most powerful attack. Duan Lingtian, who was unscathed after taking on the hundreds of bolts of lightning that were as thick as a baby's arm, thought to himself. At the same time, the characteristics of dragons on his body faded away, and he returned to his human form. The nine-clawed dragon warrior disappeared and concealed himself. Now it's my turn to counterattack. With a glint in his eyes, Duan Lingtian withdrew his 10,000 swords territory that was blocking everyone's sight. In the next moment, the unscathed Duan Lingtian reappeared before everyone's eyes. Sunda, who was standing nearby, widened his eyes as horror dawned on him. Initially he thought he would be able to injure Duan Lingtian with his full strength. If Duan Lingtian was injured, he would have a chance to strike. And perhaps he could buy some time until the effect of Duan Lingtian's assist-type divine ability had disappeared. Once the effect of Duan Lingtian's assist-type divine ability disappeared, he would return to his original state and might even fall into a weakened state. Duan Lingtian, whose cultivation base was only at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, was no match for him after he lost his assist-type divine ability. However, while imagination was beautiful, reality was cruel. Duan Ling, king of Duan Lingtian, Duan Lingtian Ling. Although he did not know what technique Duan Lingtian had used when he consolidated his territory, he did not know. However, it was a fact that Duan Lingtian had effortlessly withstood his full-force attack. It was also because of this that he switched from being active to being passive. He's actually unscathed? At the same time, the four Symbol Sanctum's disciples were shocked when they saw Duan Lingtian was unscathed. Although they knew Duan Lingtian was stronger than Sunda, they did not expect Duan Lingtian would be able to withstand Sunda's full-strength attack so easily. Unfortunately, senior brother Duan Lingtian has consolidated his territory to block our sight. Otherwise, we would have been able to see how he withstood senior brother Sunda's attack. Many of the four Symbol Sanctum's disciples felt it was a pity. Naturally, they did not think Duan Lingtian had intentionally consolidated his territory to block their sight. They thought Duan Lingtian had to rely on his territory to withstand Sunda's full-strength attack. Senior brother Sunda is going to lose. At the same time, the four Symbol Sanctum's disciples thought to themselves. They did not think there was any suspense in this battle. Senior brother Sunda, please excuse me. When the four Symbol Sanctum's disciples thought there was no suspense in this battle, Duan Lingtian happened to look at Sunda. After exchanging greetings, a pair of flaming wings appeared on Duan Lingtian's back. It was the wings that were transformed from his movement divine ability, the Golden Crow's wings. In the next instant, the Golden Crow's wings flapped. At once, boom, 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 boom. Another series of thunderous explosions reverberated in the air. At the same time, Duan Lingtian charged toward Sunda at an extremely fast speed like a fleeting shadow. Sunda's expression turned solemn as soon as the Golden Crow's wings on Duan Lingtian's back flapped. The saint energy on the surface of his body increased rapidly. One could see he was continuously mobilizing the saint energy in his body as though he was preparing for something. In just a blink of an eye, Duan Lingtian, who was moving at lightning speed, was already near Sunda. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. As Duan Lingtian's sun saint energy spread out from his body, in the next instant, solidified golden sword chi appeared around his body. Each sword chi contained an extremely sharp aura as though it could tear everything apart. There were more than 100 sword chi. Go! Duan Lingtian shouted in his heart. The hundreds of sword chi that were originally revolving around his body seemed to have received an order as they charged towards Sunda like rain. The hundreds of sword chi shot out in a domineering manner. Although the scene was not as exaggerated as Sunda's previous attack, its power was not inferior to his previous attack. When the sword chi shot out, it gave Sunda great pressure. Black Tortoise's Barrier. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Sunda's eyes turned red as he suddenly shouted. His voice was so loud that it reverberated in everyone's ears. His shout not only shocked the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples, but it also shocked them so much that they narrowed their eyes and revealed looks of shock. Even Duan Lingtian was taken aback. The Black Tortoise's Barrier? In the next instant, Duan Lingtian clearly saw the sword chi. Before the hundreds of sword chi that he had infused with the profundity of the Sovereign Heart Sword could get close to Sunda, they were blocked by an invisible force. It was as though they had collided with an invisible wall. Then, under everyone's watchful eyes, a gigantic black tortoise's silhouette strangely appeared around Sunda's body. The black tortoise's silhouette was translucent. If one did not look closely, one would not be able to see it clearly. The hundreds of sword chi controlled by Duan Lingtian were blocked by the black tortoise's silhouette. The black tortoise's silhouette was like an iron wall that protected Sunda. Although it managed to block the hundreds of sword chi, the black tortoise's silhouette did not have an easy time. The gigantic black tortoise's silhouette trembled violently from the impact. Ripples began to appear in the air and spread out. It gave people a visual shock. So this is the black tortoise's barrier? Duan Lingtian was in no hurry to launch a second attack since his first attack had failed. Although he knew he could easily defeat the black tortoise's silhouette with his divine ability, the otherworldly celestial, he was in no hurry to do so. This was because he had more important things to do at this moment. Duan Lingtian stared at the black tortoise's silhouette in front of him as though he was observing something. His mind was completely immersed in the black tortoise's silhouette. The other Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples also regained their senses at this moment. An expression of shock and disbelief appeared on their faces. A senior brother Sunda. He actually managed to successfully comprehend the black tortoise's barrier, the most treasured divine ability in the Black Tortoise Sanctum? The Black Tortoise's Barrier is not only the most treasured divine ability in the Black Tortoise Sanctum, but it's also the #1 defensive divine ability in the Zoroastrianism. I can't believe Senior Brother Sunda actually managed to comprehend it. Since Senior Brother Sunda has comprehended the divine ability, the Black Tortoise's Barrier, he can directly enter the Saint Land and become a Saint Land disciple. When did Senior Brother Sunda successfully comprehend the Black Tortoise's Barrier? Since he has successfully comprehended the Black Tortoise's Barrier, why isn't he leaving? The Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples discussed among themselves. Many of them found it strange that Sunda did not leave the first mine even though he had successfully comprehended the divine ability, the Black Tortoise's Barrier. Could it be that Senior Brother Sunda has just successfully comprehended the Black Tortoise's Barrier? One of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples could not help but guess. His words caused an uproar again. Then many people looked at Sunda, who was shrouded by the Black Tortoise's silhouette in unison. He had just successfully comprehended the divine ability, the Black Tortoise's Barrier? Was this true? Their hearts were filled with questions and curiosity. Senior Brother Sunda, did you just successfully comprehend the divine ability, the Black Tortoise's Barrier? Soon after, Duan Lingtian regained his senses. His eyes shone brightly as he looked at Sunda, who was shrouded by the Black Tortoise's silhouette. At this moment he could see the pleasant surprise on Sunda's face. This was why he asked this question. Earlier, when Duan Lingtian was observing the Black Tortoise's silhouette, he had also noticed many traces of inexperience on it. Due to this reason he guessed. Sunda must have just successfully comprehended the Black Tortoise's Barrier, the Black Tortoise's Barrier. When he saw the pleasant surprise on Sunda's face, he could not help but confirm his guess. Sunda must have just comprehended the divine ability, the Black Tortoise's Barrier. That's right. Faced with Duan Lingtian's question, Sunda suppressed the wild joy in his heart and cupped his fists at Duan Lingtian. Junior Brother Lingtian, you're the main reason I'm able to successfully comprehend the Black Tortoise's Barrier today. I'd like to thank you. As soon as Sunda finished speaking, he bowed at Duan Lingtian. Upon seeing this, the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples were dumbfounded. What was going on? Sunda had successfully comprehended the divine ability, the Black Tortoise's Barrier, so why would he say his opponent was the main reason? The Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples were puzzled. Duan Lingtian was puzzled as well. Senior Brother Sunda, what do you mean by that? Earlier, under the pressure of your attack, I felt as though I was going through a life-and-death situation. In that moment of life and death, many of the problems I had when I was comprehending the divine ability, the Black Tortoise's barrier, were resolved. Under your pressure, I successfully comprehended the divine ability, the Black Tortoise's barrier. Chapter 1970. The Black Turtle's barrier was a high-grade defensive divine ability. Not only was it the most treasured divine ability in the Black Turtle Sanctum, but it was also the #1 defensive divine ability in Zoroastrianism. As the #1 defensive divine ability in Zoroastrianism, the Black Turtle's barrier was very famous in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Of course, it was extremely difficult to successfully comprehend such a divine ability. Currently, there were less than 10 people who had successfully comprehended the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, in Zoroastrianism. Due to this reason, the group of 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples present on the scene was shocked when they saw Sunda casting the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier. Because this was a very shocking thing. If news of this spread out, it would definitely cause a commotion in the 4 Symbols Sanctums. Senior brother Sunda has only just comprehended the Black Turtle's barrier? Many 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples were shocked when they heard Sunda's words to Duan Lingtian. I knew it. If senior brother Sunda had already comprehended the Black Turtle's barrier, he wouldn't have to stay here and mine Saint Stones today. As it turns out, he has only just comprehended the Black Turtle's barrier. Many 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples finally understood. Based on senior brother Sunda's words, it's all thanks to Duan Lingtian that he was able to successfully comprehend the Black Turtle's barrier. Sometimes, pressure can be transformed into motivation. Senior brother Sunda managed to find a suitable opportunity under the pressure from Duan Lingtian and successfully comprehended the Black Turtle's barrier. Since senior brother Sunda has successfully comprehended the Black Turtle's barrier, it means he doesn't have to stay in the first mine anymore. How enviable. Not only does he no longer have to stay in the first mine, but since he has successfully comprehended the Black Turtle's barrier, he can directly enter the Saint Land and become a Saint Land disciple. The group of 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples discussed among themselves. Their gazes were filled with envy as they looked at Sunda. Becoming a Saint Land disciple was the goal of every 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciple. As for the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples who had been banished to the first mine for service, they had no choice but to accept it. Becoming a Saint Land disciple would not only allow him to achieve his goal of many years, but he would also be exempted from punishment and would no longer have to serve in the 4 Symbols Sanctum's first mine. He could even leave for the Holy Land of Zoroastrianism and become a disciple of the Holy Land. Because of this, they were very envious of Sunda. Congratulations, senior brother Sunda. Hearing Sunda's words, Duan Lingtian immediately came to a realization and congratulated Sunda. Junior brother Lingtian, since I've already mastered our Black Turtle Sanctum's most treasured divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, this means that I can be exempted from punishment and leave the 4 Symbols Sanctum's first mine to head to the Saint Land and become a Saint Land disciple. From today onward, the Primus House in the punishment zone of the 4 Symbols Sanctum's first mine belongs to you. Sunda said to Duan Lingtian with a smile. However, when he reached the end of his sentence he smiled wryly and added, naturally, even if I didn't leave I wouldn't be able to keep this Primus House in front of you, junior brother Lingtian. I know very well that although I've successfully mastered the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, and managed to block your attack earlier, junior brother Lingtian, you still haven't used your full strength. Junior brother Lingtian, you haven't unleashed your full strength yet. Once you cast your high-grade offensive divine ability, even if I cast the Black Turtle's barrier, I won't be able to block your attack. Sunda was very self-aware after listening to Duan Lingtian's words. He said bluntly that even if he had mastered the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, he would still not be a match for Duan Lingtian. Upon hearing Sunda's words, the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples present on the scene agreed. Senior brother Sunda, you must be joking. You're very strong as well. If it wasn't for the assist-type divine ability I wouldn't be a match for you. Duan Lingtian shook his head as he spoke politely and modestly. Assist-type divine ability is also a part of one's strength. Junior brother Lingtian, I look forward to meeting you in the Saint Land. Sunda shook his head as well. When he reached the end of his sentence, he bade farewell to Duan Lingtian and turned around to leave. Since he had successfully comprehended the Black Turtle's barrier, the most treasured divine ability in the Black Turtle Sanctum, there was no need for him to continue staying in the 4 Symbols Sanctum's first mine. he could directly enter the Saint Land and become a Saint Land disciple. I will. Duan Lingtian's eyes narrowed as he looked at Sunda's disappearing figure, and he muttered in his heart. However, it's an unexpected gain to be able to witness senior brother Sunda casting the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier. The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, he felt a little excited. Although Sunda had only managed to comprehend the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, due to his oppression, Duan Lingtian had given him a chance. However, Sunda's casting of the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, had given him a chance to personally experience the Black Turtle's Barrier. Now that he had witnessed Sunda casting the Black Turtle's Barrier with his own eyes, he was enlightened. I'm confident that I'll be able to comprehend the number 1 defensive divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, in half a year at most. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was filled with confidence. Then, under the watchful eyes of the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples, Duan Lingtian entered the Primus house that originally belonged to Sunda. From now on, this would be Duan Lingtian's residence. Initially, I thought I'd have to stay in the 4 Symbols Sanctum's first mine for another half a year before I can head to the Saint Land. After all, the Saint Land assessment is in half a year. However, now that I've witnessed senior brother Sunda casting the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, there's no need to wait for another half a year. As long as I successfully comprehend the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, just like senior brother Sunda, I'll be able to enter the Saint Land and become a Saint Land disciple. Duan Lingtian thought to himself as soon as he entered the Primus house. When he reached the end of his sentence, his eyes were filled with determination. I'll soon enter the Saint Land of Zoroastrianism. I know you're in the enforcement hall of the Saint Land of Zoroastrianism. Wait for me. It won't be long before you and I meet again. Also our daughter. I'm an incompetent father, but I'll be able to see her soon. As Duan Lingtian muttered to himself, a hint of gentleness could be seen in his eyes. A hint of anticipation could be seen in his gentle gaze. From now on, I'll wholeheartedly comprehend the Black Turtle Sanctum's most treasured divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, the number 1 divine ability of Zoroastrianism. The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, he immediately entered the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. His mind was completely immersed in comprehending the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier. Since he had personally witnessed Sunda casting the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, today, Duan Lingtian had a much easier time comprehending the divine ability. Many of the problems he had in the past had been solved. It could be said that he had inadvertently helped Sunda master the Black Turtle's Barrier, and he had also helped himself. Otherwise, he would not have known where he could go to observe others casting the Black Turtle's Barrier. Now that he had personally witnessed Sunda casting the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, it was as though he had received divine help. With the help of his heart that had been tempered by the Sovereign Heart Sword, he was confident he would be able to successfully comprehend the Black Turtle's Barrier in a short period of time. Duan Lingtian was cultivating in the Primus house. However, he was unaware that the group of 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples outside had not dispersed for a long time. Currently, the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples were gathered together. Their conversation did not stray away from Duan Lingtian. I can't believe Duan Lingtian is so powerful. That's right. Even senior brother Sunda, who has mastered the number 1 defensive divine ability of Zoroastrianism, the Black Turtle's Barrier, is no match for him. Senior brother Sunda is an intermediate quintessential Saint Stage powerhouse. Moreover, he's about to head to the Saint Land and become a Saint Land disciple. He only has a yellow innate spiritual root. His cultivation base at the peak of the exemplary Saint Stage is the limit of his innate talent. He'll only be like this for the rest of his life. High-grade divine abilities are really terrifying. A mere martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary Saint Stage has mastered 3 high-grade divine abilities. His strength is not inferior to an ordinary mastery quintessential Saint Stage powerhouse. If only I can master a high-grade divine ability as well. As the saying went, all good things must come to an end. After the group of 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples discussed for a while, they dispersed and returned to their own residences. The next day, a shocking piece of news swept through the 4 Symbols Sanctums of Zoroastrianism. This shocking piece of news was, Sunda, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who was banished to the 4 Symbols Sanctum's first mine for 20 years, was exempted from his previous punishment because he had successfully comprehended the Black Turtle's Barrier, the treasured divine ability of the Black Turtle Sanctum. Someone has actually successfully comprehended the treasured divine ability of the Black Turtle Sanctum, the Black Turtle's barrier? The Azure Dragon Sanctum, White Tiger Sanctum, and the Black Turtle Sanctum were filled with similar discussions. It pressured the disciples of the three sanctums. After all, the treasured divine ability of the Black Turtle Sanctum was widely acknowledged as the most difficult one among the four symbol sanctums. Now that someone had successfully comprehended the most difficult divine ability, if the Azure Dragon Sanctum, White Tiger Sanctum, and Vermilion Bird Sanctum did not make any progress, would they not be looked down upon? Would people not think the three sanctums were inferior to the Black Turtle Sanctum? At this moment, many people began to gather around the Azure Dragon Sanctum, White Tiger Sanctum, and Black Turtle Sanctum. All of them were trying their best to comprehend the treasured divine ability of each sanctum. Well done, Senior Brother Sunda. Our Black Turtle Sanctum has another person who has comprehended the treasured divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier. Senior Brother Sunda, you've really made our Black Turtle Sanctum proud. Unlike the other three sanctums, the Black Turtle Sanctum was bustling with noise and excitement. Many people were even celebrating the fact that the Black Turtle Sanctum had another person who had successfully comprehended the treasured divine ability. At the same time, another piece of news from the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine also spread like wildfire in the Four Symbols Sanctums. Chapter 1971. The name Duan Lingtian was not unfamiliar to the people from the Four Symbols Sanctums. How could it be unfamiliar? First, he had offended the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, Lian, as soon as he arrived at the Zoroastrianism Sanctum. Then he had even killed Lian's grand disciple Yuan Hong, a disciple of the Vermilion Bird Sanctum. Not only did he kill Yuan Hong, but he had also killed Yuan Kuang, Yuan Hong's younger brother. Just when everyone thought he had intentionally killed Yuan Kuang and would be sentenced to death, the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder Guixiong had protected him. Even the Saint Land Enforcement Hall had protected him. All these reasons were enough to make the name Duan Lingtian a legend in the Four Symbols Sanctums. However, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, Duan Lingtian, had caused trouble again. Moreover, the trouble he caused was related to Sunda, who had caused a commotion in the Four Symbols Sanctum. Duan Lingtian defeated Sunda as soon as he arrived at the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine? You must be joking. When the people from the Four Symbols Sanctums, whether it was the people from the Azure Dragon Sanctum, White Tiger Sanctum, Vermilion Bird Sanctum, or Black Turtle Sanctum, most of them did not believe it. However, when the news was confirmed by some of the Four Symbols Sanctum's elders, they had no choice but to believe it. Duan Lingtian's cultivation base is only at the peak of the exemplary saint stage? Then, does this mean he didn't use his full strength when he fought with Yuan Hong earlier? Isn't he hiding his strength a little too well? Similar discussions could be heard everywhere in the Four Symbols Sanctums. It was apparent the people from the Four Symbols Sanctums had also learned about Duan Lingtian displaying his saint energy at the peak of the exemplary saint stage in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. For a moment, they were certain Duan Lingtian had been hiding his cultivation base from the beginning. Don't tell me Duan Lingtian's cultivation base is at the peak of the exemplary saint stage because he's intentionally hiding his cultivation base? Many people had the same thought. However, their doubts were quickly rejected by the others. Impossible. Don't forget that he only has a yellow innate spiritual root. On the other hand, mediocre people with yellow innate spiritual roots would usually reach the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Breaking through to the quintessential saint stage is harder than ascending the heavens. The news that Duan Lingtian only possessed a yellow innate spiritual root had long spread in the Four Symbols Sanctums. Due to this reason, everyone in the Four Symbols Sanctums knew about it. For a moment, most people felt that Duan Lingtian's current cultivation had reached his limit. In the future, it would be difficult for him to advance even an inch. However, these people thought this way because they were certain Duan Lingtian possessed a yellow innate spiritual root. It was only natural for them to assume that he had a yellow innate spiritual root. In the Four Symbols Sanctums, some people knew Duan Lingtian did not possess a yellow innate spiritual root but a blue innate spiritual root. One of them was the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder. Lian had also heard about how the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, Sunda, had successfully comprehended the Black Turtle's barrier, the treasured divine ability of the Black Turtle Sanctum. Regarding this matter, at the same time he was surprised, his heart was also filled with jealousy. Even he, the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, had yet to successfully comprehend the Black Turtle's barrier. How could he not be jealous when an ordinary Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple had successfully comprehended the treasured divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, before him? Duan Lingtian's cultivation base is at the peak of the exemplary saint stage? He defeated Sunda? Li An's attention was diverted by this piece of news. Horror dawned on him. That little bastard. Has he been at the peak of the exemplary saint stage for a long time, or has he just made a breakthrough? Lian could not help but wonder about Duan Lingtian's cultivation base. This was because even he was not certain if Duan Lingtian had just broken through to the peak of the exemplary saint stage or not. However, regardless of whether Duan Lingtian had just broken through to the peak of the exemplary saint stage, Duan Lingtian's existence made him feel threatened. He knew this very well. Since Duan Lingtian possessed a blue innate spiritual root, it meant Duan Lingtian's achievements in the future would not be inferior to his. Not only that, but with Duan Lingtian's innate talent and comprehending divine abilities, he would most likely become a Golden Flame Elder in the future. A Golden Flame Elder was an existence that was superior to him, Lian. If Duan Lingtian really went that far, Lian would be finished. Completely finished. No. I can't let this drag on any longer. Duan Lingtian must die. Lian's breathing quickened when he regained his senses. As he muttered to himself, his eyes gleamed coldly like a venomous snake that was looking around, ready to pounce at any time. Lian did not think much of Duan Lingtian, who possessed a yellow innate spiritual root. He knew Duan Lingtian's innate talent in comprehending divine abilities was heaven-defying. However, Duan Lingtian, who possessed a blue innate spiritual root and had a heaven-defying innate talent in comprehending divine abilities, made Lian wary and fearful. He was almost certain. An existence like Duan Lingtian would definitely become a huge threat when he grew up in the future. However, it won't be easy to kill him in the first mine. Moreover, his current strength is comparable to an ordinary mastery quintessential saint stage martial cultivator. Li An's expression turned grave when he thought of this. In the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine, apart from the elders of the first mine, only the Enforcement Elder and the sinners brought by the Enforcement Elder were allowed to enter. It was impossible for Lian to enter the first mine, let alone kill someone there. Duan Lingtian. Do you really think I can't do anything to you just because you're hiding in the first mine? Lian sneered before he left his residence. He continued to move forward rapidly. When he finally came to a halt, he had already arrived at the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. He stopped in front of a Primus house. Elder Lian. It's Elder Lian. Li An's appearance immediately attracted the attention of many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Hongsu. After Lian came to a halt, he glanced at the Primus house in front of him and extended his divine consciousness. He easily entered the Primus house and sent a voice transmission to the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple inside. Who's there? The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who was cultivating in the Primus house was suddenly awakened. His expression turned grave immediately as flames of fury burned in his eyes. He wanted to slap the person who had awakened him a few times. It's me, Lian. The voice transmission rang again, causing the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple's expression to turn grave again. However, this time his expression was no longer grave. Instead, he forced a smile that was uglier than crying. That was not all. Even the blazing fury in his eyes had completely vanished at this moment. Creak. Under Lian's gaze, the door of the Primus house opened. A Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple walked out and bowed respectfully at him. Greetings, Elder Lian. This Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple was a middle-aged man. He had an ordinary appearance and a medium build. He was extremely ordinary. In fact, he was so inconspicuous that he could not be found in the group. It's Senior Brother Hongsu. Why is Elder Lian looking for Senior Brother Hongsu? The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who did not return to their own residences immediately saw the middle-aged man who was called out by Lian. When they saw the middle-aged man, their eyes were filled with respect. Hongsu was widely acknowledged as the great Senior Brother by the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. The reason he was widely acknowledged as the great Senior Brother was because he was very powerful. Moreover, his cultivation base had already broken through to the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage more than a year ago. Hongsu was also the only Mastery Quintessential Saint stage disciple in the Black Turtle Sanctum. However, when they saw Lian looking for Hongsu, they found it strange. They did not know why Lian was looking for Hongsu. As far as they knew, there was no relationship between the two of them. While the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples was still feeling puzzled, Hongsu's voice rang out. Come with me. Lian said to Hongsu indifferently before he flew out of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' residence. His silhouette gradually disappeared before the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' eyes. When Lian's silhouette disappeared into the distance, Hong Su followed him even though he was still puzzled. Lian was the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder. He would still be a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple before the next Saint Land assessment. Due to this reason he did not dare to offend Lian. When the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples saw Lian and Hong Su leaving one after another, they finally withdrew their gazes. Naturally, due to Lian's deterrence, nobody dared to follow him. Outside the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' residence, Lian came to a halt in a remote bamboo forest. "Elder Lian, you're looking for me?" Hong Su, who was following behind him, came to a halt. At the same time, he looked at Lian, who had turned around, and asked in confusion. "Hong Su, I want you to go to the Four Symbol Sanctum's first mine and kill someone." Lian's eyes flashed coldly as he said bluntly, "Swoosh." Upon hearing Lian's words, horror dawned on Hong Su's face. "Elder Lian, you want me to go to the first mine to kill Duan Lingtian?" Although Hong Su had been in closed-door cultivation most of the time, he would still come out sometimes. For this reason he knew everything about Duan Lingtian. For this reason, when Lian directly asked him to go to the Four Symbol Sanctum's first mine to kill someone, the first person he thought of was Duan Lingtian. "That's right." Lian nodded when he heard Hong Su's question. "Elder Lian, I'm afraid I can't do as you say." After taking a deep breath, Hong Su rejected Lian in the end. Put aside the fact that he was not confident he could kill Duan Lingtian, so what if he could kill Duan Lingtian? In the end, he would still be executed for violating the Zoroastrianism's rule. "Hong Su, have you thought this through? If I'm not mistaken, your clan, the Hong clan, is in the western region." Lian was not surprised by Hong Su's rejection. When he reached the end of his sentence, he looked at Hong Su meaningfully. Hong Su's expression turned grave immediately. "Elder Lian, are you threatening me?" "You can take it as a threat." Chapter 1972. Hong Su's expression changed again when he heard Lian's words. In this world where only the strong were respected, most people were selfish. However, to Hong Su, his family was even more important than his life. This was because he had relied on his clan's support to achieve what he had today. If it was not for his clan's support, he would not have been able to achieve what he had at such a young age, since his innate spiritual root was only light green. In other words, he had relied 30% on himself and 70% on his clan to achieve what he had today. "Elder Lian, Duan Lingtian is so strong that even Sunda, who has mastered the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, was defeated by him. Although my cultivation base is at the mastery quintessential saint stage, I might not be a match for him." Hong Su looked at Lian with bloodshot eyes as he said with a grave expression, "Even if I'm stronger than him, I won't be able to defeat him by much. It's difficult for me to kill him in such a short time without giving the elders in the punishment zone of the Four Symbol Sanctum's first mine a chance to interfere." It was apparent Hong Su had compromised when faced with Lian's request. However, he had no choice but to compromise. In his heart, the importance of his family was even more important than his own life. He even suspected that it was precisely because of this that Lian had used his clan to threaten him. He had thought of resisting Lian's threat and seeking justice from the enforcement elder. However, he knew that even if he managed to seek justice, Lian would only be lightly punished at most. After all, Lian had only threatened him. He had not harmed or killed him. As for his clan and the lives of his family members, before he grew to the point where the Zoroastrianism valued him, the high-ranking officials of the Zoroastrianism did not care about him at all. Even if Lian destroyed his clan, the Zoroastrianism would not interfere. In the eyes of the high-ranking officials of the Zoroastrianism, this was merely Lian's personal grudge. It had nothing to do with the Zoroastrianism. When Hong Su thought of this, he dismissed the idea of seeking justice from the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder Guxiong. He chose to compromise. "I've thought about what you just said. You don't have to worry. As long as you make your move in the Four Symbol Sanctum's residence in the first mine's punishment zone, even if the elders in the punishment zone want to rush over, they'll need some time. All you need to do is to kill him before the punishment department elder arrives." Lian continued to speak when he heard Hong Su's words. "Even if we take a step back and you find it difficult to kill him with your current strength, or even if you're not a match for him, I've already made preparations for this." As soon as he finished speaking, Lian raised his right hand and an exquisite pill bottle appeared in it. "With your strength, as long as you consume the pill inside, you'll be able to kill that Duan Lingtian in one move." As he spoke, Lian's gaze landed on the pill bottle in his hand. Hong Su's expression changed slightly when he saw Lian's gaze on the pill bottle. When he heard Lian's words, he knew the pill bottle contained a pill that could raise one's strength. Naturally, in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, there were only pills that could raise one's strength for a short period of time. The effect of this pill was similar to the assist-type divine ability that could raise one's strength for a short period of time. However, the side effects were much more severe than the after-effects of the assist-type divine ability. The after-effects of the assist-type divine ability were usually temporary. One would be able to fully recover after a certain amount of time. However, it was difficult to fully recover from the after-effects of the pill. Even if it was possible to fully recover from it, the conditions were very strict. For this reason, when Hong Su heard Lian's words and saw the pill bottle in his hand, horror dawned on him. "Elder Lian, what pill is this?" After a long while, Hong Su took a deep breath and shook his stiff neck. He looked at Lian with a fearful expression on his face. "Kismet rejoining pill." Lian replied indifferently. Gasp. As soon as Lian's words left his mouth, Hong Su's expression changed drastically. His eyes widened and he could not help but gasp. He had heard of this pill before. As its name implied, the Kismet rejoining pill was a type of pill that would cause one to perish together with one's opponent. It was also one of the few forbidden pills in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Usually, only quasi-celestial grade saint refinement masters who specialized in medicine refinement were able to refine it. Moreover, the medicinal efficacy contained in it was extremely powerful. It was said that a high-grade Kismet rejoining pill could even raise a saint celestial stage powerhouse's strength in a short period of time. Moreover, the increase in strength was not weak at all. However, there were pros and cons. Although consuming the Kismet rejoining pill could raise one's strength in a short period of time, the side effects were also very severe. If it was light, one would be severely injured. If it was severe, one would die. Due to this reason, Hong Su had such a huge reaction when he heard Lian said the pill in the pill bottle was a Kismet rejoining pill. The Kismet rejoining pill was not an ordinary forbidden pill. Even in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, the Kismet rejoining pill was a very famous forbidden pill. Naturally, it was also very expensive. Hong Su did not expect Lian, the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, would not hesitate to use such a precious forbidden pill like the Kismet rejoining pill just to kill Duan Lingtian. He knew very well. Even if Lian was the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, he might not even have a second Kismet rejoining pill. The Kismet rejoining pill was too precious. Naturally, Hong Su was unaware that in Lian's eyes, Duan Lingtian was someone who could threaten his life. Once Duan Lingtian grew stronger, it would be impossible for him to stay in Zoroastrianism even if he wanted to live. At that time, with Duan Lingtian around, there would be no place for him in Zoroastrianism. In fact, Duan Lingtian was not a mediocre person who possessed a yellow innate spiritual root. Instead, he possessed a blue innate spiritual root. Moreover, his innate talent in comprehending divine abilities was also heaven-defying. When he grew stronger in the future, his status in Zoroastrianism would definitely surpass Hong Su. For this reason, in order to get rid of Duan Lingtian, Lian did not hesitate to use the forbidden pill, the Kismet rejoining pill, that he had kept for many years. Judging from your expression, you must have heard of the Kismet rejoining pill. In that case, I won't explain it to you anymore. Lian raised his hand and passed the pill bottle to Hong Su as he said nonchalantly. When Hong Su saw Lian passing the pill bottle to him, his hand froze in mid-air. At the same time, a hint of fear could be seen in his eyes when he looked at the pill bottle. It was as though the thing in front of him was not a pill bottle but a ferocious beast. Humph! When Lian snorted coldly, Hong Su's body trembled. He reached out and took the bottle of pills from Lian. It was a small pill bottle, but in Hong Su's hands he felt as if it weighed thousands of kilograms. I don't think I need to teach you how to get to the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine, right? Lian glanced at Hong Su indifferently before he left without waiting for Hong Su's reply. Hong Su was left standing on the spot with a gloomy expression on his face. He had put the pill bottle away and clenched his fists tightly as he looked at Lian's departing figure. There was only unwillingness in his eyes. If he had a choice, he did not want to be led by the nose by Lian. However, he no longer had a choice. Unless he did not care about his clan, he could only follow Lian's instructions. In the punishment zone of the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. In the mine, the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples had stayed far away from Duan Lingtian due to their fear of him. This allowed Duan Lingtian to easily mine the first-grade saint stones in the surroundings. If this continues, it won't be long before I'll be able to collect a large number of first-grade saint stones. Duan Lingtian thought to himself as he threw the first-grade saint stones into the extra-large basket on his back and put them into the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda. His movements were as smooth as flowing water. Unless someone was standing next to Duan Lingtian and staring at him, it would be impossible for them to notice his movements. Duan Lingtian's movements were so subtle. First-grade saint stones were useless to Duan Lingtian who practiced Zoroastrianism. However, without Zoroastrianism, these saint stones were undoubtedly a source of wealth. In the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, saint stones were the common currency. All of a sudden, Duan Lingtian's sword was obstructed. Immediately, he looked over and extended his divine sense. Soon after, he discovered a saint stone that was emitting rich heaven and earth spirit energy was embedded in a large piece of first-grade saint stone. The heaven and earth spirit energy was much richer than a first-grade saint stone. A quasi-celestial grade saint stone. Duan Lingtian instantly realized he had encountered a quasi-celestial grade saint stone. His eyes lit up as excitement filled his face. However, his expression quickly returned to normal as he continued to work as though nothing had happened. During this time, Duan Lingtian threw a large piece of first-grade saint stone that contained a quasi-celestial grade saint stone into the Seven Treasures exquisite pagoda. His movements were so subtle that it was difficult for others to notice. It seems like I'm quite lucky. I've encountered a quasi-celestial grade saint stone on the second day. Moreover, the quasi-celestial grade saint stone is quite big. Although Duan Lingtian's expression had returned to normal, he was still excited. As far as he knew, an ordinary Four Symbols Sanctum's disciple would need an average of 10 days to come across a quasi-celestial grade saint stone. The mineral reserve in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine was a first-grade saint stone reserve after all. Although there were quasi-celestial grade saint stones in there, they were extremely rare. Moreover, some people would not even come across a quasi-celestial grade saint stone reserve for a whole month. However, the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine is also a scam. Even if we manage to mine a quasi-celestial grade saint stone reserve, there's no special treatment. To us, there's no difference between mining a quasi-celestial grade saint stone reserve and a first-grade saint stone reserve. Chapter 1973. Currently, it was Duan Lingtian's second day in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. Due to this reason he was much more daring. While Duan Lingtian put the first-grade saint stone ores he mined into the basket on his back, he also secretly threw many first-grade saint stone ores into the Seven Treasures exquisite pagoda. As a result, the Seven Treasures exquisite pagoda accumulated more and more first-grade saint stone ores. In terms of quantity, the number of first-grade saint stones Duan Lingtian sent into the Seven Treasures exquisite pagoda on the second day was more than double the number of first-grade saint stones he sent in on the first day. Soon after, Duan Lingtian finished his work for the day and returned to the only Primus house in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine's punishment zone. Currently, Duan Lingtian was widely acknowledged as the strongest person among the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples in the first mine's punishment zone. When he walked outside, many Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples would respectfully address him as Senior Brother Lingtian. In this world the strong were revered. The strength that Duan Lingtian had displayed during his battle with Sunda had won the respect of many Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples. The quasi-celestial grade saint stones inside should be able to be divided into 100 standard quasi-celestial grade saint stones. After returning to the Primus house, Duan Lingtian took out the piece of first-grade saint stone that contained the quasi-celestial grade saint stones and cut it open. He took out the basketball-sized quasi-celestial grade saint stones. Next, he divided the quasi-celestial grade saint stones. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. As Duan Lingtian raised his hand, the basketball-sized quasi-celestial grade saint stones were divided into 123 quasi-celestial grade saint stones. As expected of a quasi-celestial grade saint stone. What rich heaven and earth spirit energy. Duan Lingtian could clearly sense the heaven and earth spirit energy contained in the quasi-celestial grade saint stones. I remember, when I was still in the Moon Illumination sect, I obtained 3 formation discs. They were the array discs that contained the offensive array, the defensive array, and the illusory array. I wonder what kind of power they'll be able to display if they're activated by a quasi-celestial grade saint stone? The moment he thought of this, Duan Lingtian took out the spatial ring that he had hidden in the Seven Treasures exquisite pagoda. This spatial ring was the spatial ring that he usually wore. However, the spatial ring he handed over after arriving at the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine's punishment zone was empty. However, if he didn't remove the ownership of the storage ring, no one would be able to discover that it was empty. When Duan Lingtian found out the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine was going to confiscate his spatial ring, he had secretly changed his spatial ring. At that time, even the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder Guxiong who came with him did not notice his little trick. With a thought, Duan Lingtian took out the 3 formation discs that had been covered in dust for many years. After taking out the 3 formation discs, he casually picked up the formation disc that contained the illusory formation. With a raise of his hand, he placed the 9 quasi-celestial grade saint stones into the formation disc's groove. After putting the holy stone in, Duan Lingtian immediately activated the array disc. Crack. However, as soon as Duan Lingtian activated the formation disc, a crisp sound resonated in the air. The formation disc in Duan Lingtian's hand shattered immediately. It's destroyed by the energy of the saint stones? Duan Lingtian was stunned. He did not expect the energy of the 9 quasi-celestial grade saint stones would be so domineering to the point of destroying the formation disc. It seems like this formation disc isn't a high-grade formation disc. Even the activation of the quasi-celestial grade saint stones overloaded. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. I wonder what the limit of the formation disc is. Soon after, Duan Lingtian shifted his gaze to the other 2 formation discs. After experimenting for a while, he discovered the limit of the formation discs was 2 first-grade saint stones. The offensive formation disc had also been destroyed after using 3 first-grade saint stones. Only the defensive formation disc was left. However, the defensive formation cast by the defensive formation disc using 2 first-grade saint stones was useless to Duan Lingtian. Therefore, he put the defensive formation disc away without hesitation. I can't believe I've destroyed 2 formation discs with this experiment. Duan Lingtian shook his head as he looked at the 2 piles of shattered formation discs on the ground. However, he did not feel any heartache at all. Perhaps, he felt that even if the formation discs were not destroyed, they would not be of much help to him. I'll continue to comprehend the number 1 defensive divine ability of Zoroastrianism, the Black Turtle's Barrier. Initially, I thought I'd need half a year to comprehend it. However, after comprehending it for 10 days in the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, I'm certain I'll be able to comprehend it in 3 months at most. Duan Lingtian was very confident about this. When Duan Lingtian thought about this, he did not waste any time. He immediately entered the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda and began to comprehend the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier. After witnessing Sun De casting the Black Turtle's Barrier yesterday, Duan Lingtian's understanding of the Black Turtle's Barrier had increased by more than 1 level. He only spent 1 day in the outside world and 10 days in the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda before he managed to comprehend the profundity of the Black Turtle's Barrier. According to Duan Lingtian's calculations at this rate, he was confident he would be able to successfully comprehend the divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, in less than 3 months. Duan Lingtian was unaware of this. While he was comprehending the Black Turtle's Barrier, another person in the Black Turtle Sanctum had committed a crime and was sent to the punishment zone in the 4 Symbols Sanctum's first mine. This person's crime had shocked the entire Black Turtle Sanctum. Although this person was only an ordinary Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, he was publicly acknowledged as the great senior brother of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Due to this reason, even if it was just a small matter, it was enough to cause a commotion in the Black Turtle Sanctum. This person was none other than Hong Su, the great senior brother of the Black Turtle Sanctum. When Hong Su arrived at the punishment zone in the 4 Symbols Sanctum's first mine, it was already afternoon. Due to this reason, he did not have to mine Saint Stones today to complete his mission. Soon after, he arrived at the residence of the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples. As soon as he arrived at the residence of the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples, he attracted the attention of many 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples who were carrying baskets back. Senior Brother Hong Su? It's really Senior Brother Hong Su. Senior Brother Hong Su has been sent to the first mine as well? Many people recognized Hong Su. Apart from the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples, there were also disciples from the other 3 sanctums. As the great senior brother of the Black Turtle Sanctum, Hong Su was very famous even in the 4 Symbols Sanctums. Due to this reason, many disciples from the other 3 sanctums knew who he was. What crime did senior brother Hong Su commit? He's actually been sent to the 4 Symbols Sanctum's first mine as well. No matter what crime senior brother Hong Su committed, he won't be able to stay in the 4 Symbols Sanctum's first mine for long. He's already at the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage. He only has to participate in the Saint Lands assessment soon, and he'll be exempted from his previous punishment. He'll be able to enter the Saint Land and become a Saint Land disciple. Indeed. Although they were surprised to see Hong Su here, Most of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples felt Hong Su would soon leave the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine and head to the Saint Land. Where's Duan Lingtian staying? When Hong Su saw more and more Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples gathering around him, he asked a Four Symbols Sanctum's disciple who was standing nearby. Primus House. When the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciple saw Hong Su looking over and asked where Duan Lingtian was staying, he did not dare to hesitate. He immediately pointed at the floating island hovering at the highest point. On the island in the air, there was a grand and imposing mansion. The mansion was divided into a front and back courtyard. There was a spacious room in the middle. It was none other than the Primus House. It was the only Primus House in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine's punishment zone. Whoosh. As soon as Hong Su obtained his answer, he soared up into the air and arrived in front of the Primus House in just a blink of an eye. Senior brother Hong Su, are you trying to snatch the Primus House? I don't think so. Didn't you hear senior brother Hong Su asking where senior brother Duan Lingtian is staying? If he wants to snatch the Primus House, he can just do it. Why would he ask where senior brother Duan Lingtian is staying? Senior brother Hong Su has just arrived at the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine today. Perhaps he has heard about Duan Lingtian defeating senior brother Sunda, but he doesn't know senior brother Sunda is staying in the Primus House. For this reason he probably doesn't know senior brother Duan Lingtian is staying in the Primus House. Otherwise he wouldn't have asked that question earlier. Does this mean senior brother Hong Su is specifically looking for senior brother Duan Lingtian? Or perhaps he made the mistake of coming to the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine because of senior brother Duan Lingtian? That's possible. Regardless of how the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples guessed, Hong Su, who was standing near the Primus House, suddenly spoke. His domineering voice resonated in the air. Duan Lingtian, I Hong Su will be taking your Primus House. As soon as he spoke, he wanted to snatch the Primus House that Duan Lingtian was staying in. Of course Hong Su had an ulterior motive as well. The reason he said that was to prevent others from knowing his true intentions. He had made a mistake and was banished to the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine because he wanted to kill Duan Lingtian. Apart from himself, the only person who knew this was Lien, the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder who had threatened him with his clan. As expected, when the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples heard Hong Su's words, realization dawned on them. As it turns out, senior brother Hong Su is really here to snatch the Primus House from senior brother Duan Lingtian. Only a few Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples frowned slightly. They felt something was amiss. This was because Hong Su had asked where Duan Lingtian was staying and not where the Primus House was. Although they felt something was amiss, they did not expect Hong Su's purpose of coming here was to kill Duan Lingtian. Hong Su. I seem to have heard of this name before. Duan Lingtian, who was comprehending the divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, on the fourth level of the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, suddenly opened his eyes when he heard Hong Su's voice. His eyes shone brightly. I remember now. Hong Su is the great senior brother of our Black Turtle Sanctum. Chapter 1974. I heard that Hong Su's cultivation base has already entered the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage. He's also the only Mastery Quintessential Saint stage powerhouse in the Black Turtle Sanctum. Duan Lingtian had heard about Hong Su, the great senior brother of the Black Turtle Sanctum. Due to this reason he was not unfamiliar with Hong Su. I wonder what crime he committed to be banished to the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. However, with his strength, he'll definitely be able to pass the Saint Land's assessment and enter the Saint Land to become a Saint Land disciple. Hong Su won't be staying in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine for long. Duan Lingtian knew this very well. However, I'll have to see if he's capable of snatching my Primus House. Duan Lingtian thought to himself as he left the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. After leaving the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, Duan Lingtian put the pagoda away and pushed the door open. He soared into the air and shot out like an arrow leaving the bow. Whoosh! As though a gust of wind had blown past, Duan Lingtian came to a halt and faced the aloof figure outside the Primus House. He's Hong Su. At the same time, Duan Lingtian studied the middle-aged man in front of him carefully. The middle-aged man had a medium build and an ordinary appearance. He was very inconspicuous. He was the kind of person who would not stand out in a crowd. Duan Lingtian. While Duan Lingtian was studying Hong Su was also studying Duan Lingtian. This Duan Lingtian was the purpose of his trip. At the same time, the words that the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder Lien had said to him before he came to the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine rang in his ears again. Hong Su, I know you'll definitely die no matter what the outcome is. However, I still have to warn you. If Duan Lingtian doesn't die, I'll take it that you've shown mercy to him even if you die. I'll still annihilate your entire Hong clan. Li An's words completely destroyed the last bit of hope in Hong Su's heart. Originally he was still thinking, he was threatened by Li An to kill Duan Lingtian. No matter what the result was, he would definitely die. If that was the case, could he choose to stop at the critical moment and let Duan Lingtian kill him? This way he wouldn't have to bear the burden of sin before he died. After all, he had no enmity with Duan Lingtian. Moreover, he hated Li An very much in his heart, so he naturally didn't want Li An to get what he wanted. However, Li An's words made him completely give up on this idea. Duan Lingtian must die. Otherwise, even if he died, his family would be implicated. Duan Lingtian, I'm sorry. For the sake of my family, I can only kill you. Don't worry, after you die, I will accompany you. If there is a next life, even if I have to work like a cow or a horse, I am willing to do everything I can to compensate you. Hong Su thought to himself as he looked at Duan Lingtian. In the Black Turtle Sanctum, Hong Su was widely acknowledged as the great senior brother. Apart from his powerful strength, another reason was that he was kind and never had a falling out with anyone. He was famous for being a nice person. However, it was precisely such a good person who had been forced into a desperate situation by Li An today. At the same time, a hint of pity could be seen in the depth of Hong Su's eyes. Duan Lingtian clearly saw the hint of pity in Hong Su's eyes. What's Hong Su feeling sorry for? He can't bear to snatch my Primus house? If that's the case, why does he still want to snatch my Primus house? This was how Duan Lingtian understood the hint of pity in Hong Su's eyes. That was the only way he could understand it. After all, it did not cross Duan Lingtian's mind that Hong Su, the great senior brother of the Black Turtle Sanctum whom he had never met before, would want to kill him the first time they met. Duan Lingtian. Hong Su said bluntly, today, regardless of whether you're willing to give up your Primus house or not, I hope you'll be willing to fight me. I'd like to see the 3 high-grade divine abilities you've mastered. Upon hearing Hong Su's words, Duan Lingtian could not help but feel stunned. Wasn't Hong Su a little too confident? Did he really think Duan Lingtian would admit defeat and give up his Primus house? Senior brother Hong Su is really confident. At the same time, the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples present on the scene understood Hong Su's words. With the 3 high-grade divine abilities, senior brother Duan Lingtian's strength is not inferior to a mastery quintessential saint stage powerhouse. Senior brother Hong Su seems to be looking down on senior brother Duan Lingtian. I agree. Do you think senior brother Duan Lingtian will give up his Primus house on his own accord? How's that possible? With senior brother Duan Lingtian's character, it's impossible for him to give up his Primus house on his own accord unless senior brother Hong Su can defeat him. The group of 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples discussed among themselves. Based on their words, none of them felt Duan Lingtian would admit defeat or give up his Primus house on his own accord. Qingji, it's you? Why are you here as well? What did you do? A 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciple suddenly appeared next to another 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciple and asked in surprise. The 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciple standing before him was also from the Black Turtle Sanctum. Moreover, they knew each other and had a good relationship. Due to this reason, he decided to join in. We'll talk about it later. The latter shook his head. His eyes did not leave Hong Su, who was standing in the distance. Let's watch the show first. Perhaps we'll be able to get some inspiration from their fight. Upon hearing this, the former nodded in agreement before he shifted his gaze to Hong Su and Duan Lingtian. However, at this moment, the latter suddenly narrowed his eyes and transmitted his voice to Hong Su. Senior brother Hong Su, I'm someone sent by Elder Lien. If you can kill Duan Lingtian with your own strength, give me the Kismet reuniting pill after you kill him. When Hong Su heard the voice, he glanced at a 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciple in the distance from the corner of his eyes. Although he did not know this 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciple, he had some impression of him. He was certain he was from the Black Turtle Sanctum. Upon hearing the other party's voice transmission, Hong Su nodded subtly even though he was infuriated. Before he came to the 4 Symbols Sanctum's first mine, Lien had looked for him and told him this. Hong Su, if you can kill Duan Lingtian with your own strength, then kill him with your own strength. After you kill him, think of a way to pass the Kismet reuniting pill to the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple I sent without attracting any attention. At that time he'll contact you. At the same time, he'll also determine if you can kill Duan Lingtian with your own strength. If he finds out you're able to kill Duan Lingtian with your own strength, but you still use the Kismet reuniting pill, If that's the case, don't blame me for making a move on your clan. When Hong Su recalled Lian's words, he felt aggrieved and resentful. However, this proved one thing. Just as he had guessed, a forbidden pill like the Kismet reuniting pill was extremely precious even to Lian. For this reason, Lian did not hesitate to send a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple to follow him to the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. Hong Su, do you really look down on me, Duanling Tian? Do you think I'll admit defeat and give you the Primus House? Duanling Tian narrowed his eyes and asked indifferently as he looked at Hong Su. I'm just worried you won't let me enjoy myself to the fullest, Duanling Tian. Hong Su replied nonchalantly. You don't have to worry about this. I'll definitely let you enjoy yourself to the fullest today. As soon as Hong Su finished speaking, the Sun Saint energy in Duanling Tian's body surged out through his 99 Saint veins and formed a faint whirlpool. Elementary devouring tactic. At the same time, the heaven and earth spirit energy in the surroundings was absorbed by the whirlpool at a terrifying speed. All of it surged into Duanling Tian's body and strengthened the Sun Saint energy in his body. After a while, the whirlpool disappeared. Everything happened in just a blink of an eye. However, in just a blink of an eye, the heaven and earth spirit energy in the area around Duanling Tian was completely absorbed and became a part of the Sun Saint energy in his body. Naturally, this energy was only temporarily for him to use. He needed to use his spiritual energy to support it. Once his spiritual energy was almost depleted, the energy that he had absorbed would also disappear without a trace. At that time, his Sun Saint power would be beaten back to its original state. What a brilliant assist-type divine ability. Hong Su narrowed his eyes when he sensed the change in Duanling Tian's Saint energy. Initially, the Saint energy that surged out of Duanling Tian's body was only comparable to the Saint energy at the peak of the exemplary Saint stage. However, in just a blink of an eye, the aura on Duanling Tian's body had changed again. It was now comparable to the Saint energy at the intermediate quintessential Saint stage. Golden Crow's wings. As Duanling Tian cried out in his heart, a pair of flaming wings appeared on his back. As they flapped gently, the air in the surroundings seemed to have heated up. Boom, 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 boom. A series of explosions rang in the air as Duanling Tian flapped the Golden Crow's wings on his back and took the lead to charge toward Hong Su like a cannonball that had been fired. He did not dare to be careless in the face of Hong Su, who was a mastery quintessential Saint stage disciple. For this reason, he decided to strike first to gain the upper hand. Hong Su, take this. In just a blink of an eye, Duanling Tian appeared near Hong Su. He cried out loudly as he raised his hand. His Sun Saint energy surged out immediately. As soon as he finished speaking, he raised his hand and formed a palm before he slammed it down on Hong Su. The palm that was accompanied by the majestic Sun Saint energy seemed to have transformed into a gigantic mountain as it pressed down on Hong Su. It was as though it was trying to suppress Hong Su. Just in time. Hong Su cried out loudly in the face of Duanling Tian's palm that was slamming down like a mountain. He borrowed the force from the palm and shot out. Boom. Faced with Duanling Tian's majestic palm, Hong Su did not dodge at all. Instead, he clenched his right hand into a fist as Saint energy surged out. Then he swung his fist out violently to meet Duanling Tian's ferocious palm. Chapter 1975. Bang. An earth-shattering explosion reverberated in the air. Duanling Tian's palm collided with Hong Su's punch. Following that, the two energies collided violently. Instantly, the void shook. With the collision of the two forces as the center, a vast and distorted wave of air swept out in all directions, setting off gusts of violent wind. The gusts of wind were as sharp as knives, forcing many of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples who had a weaker cultivation base to retreat. Boom, 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 boom. When the two energies collided, a series of deafening explosions reverberated in the air. It was as though the sky was about to collapse. Whoosh! Under the watchful eyes of the others, Hong Su stood there motionlessly like a statue. On the other hand, Duanling Tian, who had made the first move, was pushed back by the vast energy. It took him a while before he managed to dodge the remaining force of Hong Su's punch. Hong Su was a mastery quintessential Saint stage powerhouse after all. His punch contained the mastery quintessential Saint energy. Duanling Tian's Sun Saint energy, on the other hand, was only comparable to an intermediate quintessential Saint stage powerhouse's Saint energy even after the boost from the assist-type divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic. Due to this reason, he was at a disadvantage in this direct collision of energy. The strength of a mastery quintessential Saint stage powerhouse is so terrifying? The Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples were shocked when they saw Duanling Tian was at a disadvantage. They did not expect Hong Su to be so powerful. Although they were shocked by Hong Su's strength, they were not certain Hong Su would be able to defeat Duan Lingtian. After all, Duan Lingtian had mastered 5 high-grade divine abilities. One of the high-grade divine abilities was an offensive divine ability. It was the only high-grade divine ability that Hong Su had not cast yet. I'm still inferior to him in terms of pure strength. Duan Lingtian thought to himself as he looked at Hong Su in the distance. However, he was not discouraged. He was not discouraged because he still had more powerful techniques that he had not cast yet. Use your high-grade offensive ability. Otherwise you're no match for me. After sending Duan Lingtian flying with a punch, Hong Su, who did not continue to pursue, said in a cold voice. It wasn't that he didn't want to give chase. If Duan Lingtian used a high-grade movement divine ability, his speed would be incomparable. When Duan Lingtian cast his high-grade movement divine ability to charge at him, he discovered Duan Lingtian's speed was definitely at the peak of the quintessential saint stage. He might even be faster than most powerhouses at the peak of the quintessential saint stage. Because of this, he could only passively defend. Because he couldn't catch up with Duan Lingtian. As long as he could hold on until the effect of Duan Lingtian's support god art wore off, his chance would come. At that time, it would be extremely easy for him to kill Duan Lingtian. As you wish. Upon hearing Hong Su's words, Duan Lingtian's eyes narrowed. After replying to Hong Su softly, he flapped his golden crow's wings again and charged at Hong Su at an extremely fast speed. It was as though he had transformed into a bolt of lightning. Hong Su's expression turned grave as well. Saint energy was faintly visible on the surface of his body as he prepared for battle. Currently, Duan Lingtian was an intermediate quintessential saint stage martial cultivator before the effect of his support divine ability wore off. Even Hong Su did not dare to underestimate an intermediate quintessential saint stage martial cultivator who cast a high-grade offensive divine ability. Boom. As soon as Duan Lingtian arrived near Hong Su, a loud noise rang in the air. He stomped his feet on the air and soared into the sky. Golden crow's wings. Otherworldly celestial. The high-grade movement divine ability coupled with the high-grade offensive divine ability caused Duan Lingtian's body to disappear before Hong Su's eyes in just a blink of an eye. Hong Su's expression turned grave when he saw this. Senior brother Duan Lingtian cast a high-grade offensive divine ability? At the same time, the eyes of the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples brightened as they stared at the sky. He's out. Suddenly someone called out. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Duan Lingtian appeared. It was as though he had come out from the clouds. However, the Duan Lingtian who came out from the clouds was not 1 person but 5. It's just as the rumors say. Upon seeing this, many of the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples' eyes lit up. Prior to this, they had also heard about the characteristics of the high-grade offensive divine ability that Duan Lingtian had mastered. At this moment, they realized Duan Lingtian had indeed cast the high-grade offensive divine ability he had mastered when faced with the 5 Duan Lingtians that they could not tell the real from the fake. At this moment, Duan Lingtian descended from the sky. His robes fluttered in the wind, and his aura was graceful as though he was a celestial. Moreover, there were 5 celestials. Apart from the graceful aura, the 100 inscription saint swords in the hands of the 5 Duan Lingtian emitted a chilling aura. At this moment, it was as though Duan Lingtian had transformed into a sword celestial. Moreover, he had split into 5 before he charged toward Hong Su and launched an attack. Apart from casting the divine ability, the otherworldly celestial, his attack also contained the profundity of the Supreme Sword Dao mental cultivation method, the Sovereign Heart Sword, that was close to the 3rd stage. The latter was equivalent to a brilliant sword technique. The Saint Saber that Hong Su was holding began to tremble violently when Duan Lingtian emerged from the clouds and split into 5. Naturally, it was not trembling on its own. It was trembling violently because Hong Su was injecting more and more saint energy into it. The Saint Saber in Hong Su's hand was a 100 inscription Saint Saber. The Hong clan had spent a lot of money to find an advanced saint inscription master to make it for him. It was extremely powerful. Due to this reason, he would definitely not be at a disadvantage in terms of saint weapons in his battle with Duan Lingtian today. Saber King Manifestation. Hong Su yelled inwardly when he saw Duan Lingtian casting the advanced divine ability, the otherworldly celestial. Immediately after, the saint energy in his body skyrocketed and spread out, causing a huge illusory figure to appear around his body, shrouding him within. It was a huge illusory figure. One could vaguely see that it was a burly man who exuded a domineering aura. He held a huge saber in his hand. The sharp aura on the saber was a perfect match with his domineering aura. When the aura spread out, it caused the surrounding void to resound with faint but continuous explosions. It was as though the saber god had descended. This was Hong Su's intermediate offensive divine ability, the Saber King manifestation. It was a saber-type offensive divine ability. This mystique could congeal the Saber King phantom and control it to attack. Its power was much stronger than if he were to attack himself. Ghastly Shadow Thousand Slash. As soon as Hong Su cast the divine ability, the Saber King manifestation, Duanling Tian roared in his heart and made his move. The 100 inscription Saint Saber flashed and moved in a mysterious trajectory. In the end, it was swung around like a gust of cold wind. Of course, all of this happened in the blink of an eye. Slash. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Hong Su yelled. As he swung the 100 inscription Saint Saber in his hand, the Saber King manifestation moved as well. The Saber King manifestation's movement was exactly the same as Hong Su's. After a while, the 100 inscription Saint Saber in Hong Su's hand swept out toward Duanling Tian, who was not far from him. At the same time, the Saber King manifestation's saber slashed toward Duanling Tian. Bus, 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 bus. Streaks of solid and powerful saber rays were accompanied by a series of wails and howls as they charged toward Duanling Tian, who looked like 5-sword celestials who had descended to the mortal world. There were hundreds and thousands of saber rays that formed a saber net in the air. It was as though they were going to envelop Duanling Tian. The 4 Symbol Sanctum's disciples were still dazzled by the scene before them when Duanling Tian suddenly yelled, "Break!" In the next moment, under the watchful eyes of the 4 Symbol Sanctum's disciples, the 100 inscription Saint Sabers in the hands of the 5 Duanling Tian who looked like sword celestials suddenly lit up. From afar it looked like 5 blazing suns in the sky. The saber net seemed to be shrouded in darkness. However, when the 5 blazing suns rose into the sky, 5 enormous rays of light illuminated everything and broke through the darkness. Boom, 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 boom. Another series of deafening explosions reverberated in the air, causing the 4 Symbol Sanctum's disciples' eardrums to vibrate. However, they continued to watch the scene unfold before their eyes. Even those who had a weaker cultivation base were gritting their teeth and persevering. They did not want to miss out on any of the exciting scenes. Under the watchful eyes of the others, Duanling Tian, who looked like a sword celestial, destroyed the saber net with his 500 inscription Saint Swords. At the same time, the 5 Duanling Tian and the 500 inscription Saint Swords merged into one. At this moment, Duanling Tian stood with his sword in hand like an invincible sword celestial. His sword was invincible. Barf. After the saber net was destroyed, the Saber King manifestation disappeared as well. Hong Su also suffered quite a bit of backlash. His face was flushed as he threw up a mouthful of blood. After spitting out the congested blood, his face quickly turned from red to pale white. It was as though he had lost all color in his face. Senior brother Hong Su lost? I think so. Senior brother Duanling Tian is too powerful. That high-grade offensive divine ability is invincible. Even if senior brother Duanling Tian's strength has yet to reach the peak of the quintessential saint stage, he's not far from it. At the very least, not many mastery quintessential saint stage powerhouses are on par with him, let alone defeat him. When the 4 Symbol Sanctum's disciples looked at Duanling Tian again, the respect in their eyes was even more intense. The strength that Duanling Tian had displayed had not only shocked them, but it had also won their respect. Hong Su, you've lost. Duanling Tian said nonchalantly as he looked at Hong Su calmly. However, in his heart he was not as calm as he appeared on the surface. I didn't expect the otherworldly celestial to be so much more powerful after being upgraded. Hong Su's attack was not weak, but it was easily broken by me. Chapter 1976. Hong Su's earlier attack contained an extraordinary saber technique and saber technique divine ability. Duanling Tian could see and feel this. Of course, he was certain that Hong Su's previous attack was his strongest attack. Even his most powerful attack had been defeated by him. What else could Hong Su use to fight him? Just when most of the 4 Symbol Sanctum's disciples, including Duanling Tian, thought Hong Su would retreat in the face of overwhelming odds. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Hong Su took out a pill bottle from his bosom. Crack. As Hong Su exerted force in his hand, he crushed the pill bottle. In the next instant, a blood-red pill that emitted a gloomy aura appeared before everyone's eyes. Hong Su flipped his hand and the pill entered his mouth. Gulp. In just a blink of an eye, Hong Su had swallowed the pill. The sound of his gulp could be heard clearly. This is not a healing pill. Duan Lingtian's expression changed and his eyes widened. He could tell it was a healing pill, but the pill Hong Su took out was definitely not a healing pill. Moreover, it gave him a dangerous feeling. Boom. While the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples were still puzzled, Hong Su's saint energy surged again. However, the saint energy that surged out of Hong Su's body was on a completely different level compared to before. His current saint energy gave everyone, including Duan Lingtian, a feeling of invincibility. At the same time, Hong Su's eyes turned red, and the saint energy that spread out of his body was shrouded in a layer of gloomy black qi. It was a bone-chilling sight. Forbidden pill. It was unknown who cried out, but it was like a stone that caused 1,000 ripples, causing an uproar. Senior brother Hong Su. He actually consumed a forbidden pill? Isn't it just for a Primus house? Is there a need to do this? Although the effect of the forbidden pill is similar to the effect of the assistive divine ability, the side effect is far greater than the side effect of the assistive divine ability. Is senior brother Hong Su out of his mind? For the sake of an A-class house, he didn't hesitate to consume a forbidden pill. Even if he uses the forbidden pill to defeat Duan Lingtian, once the effects of the pill wear off, Duan Lingtian can easily take back the Primus house. I really don't understand what he's thinking. After Hong Su consumed the medicinal pill, his body began to change. The Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples were in an uproar. They couldn't understand why Hong Su would do such a thing. Forbidden pill? When Duan Lingtian heard the words of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples, a look of deep fear immediately appeared in his eyes. He had naturally heard of the forbidden pill before. He knew that it was an extremely terrifying pill that could allow a person's strength to rise to an extremely terrifying level in a short period of time. Of course, the side effects were also very strong. After Hong Su consumed the forbidden pill, his saint energy seems to have risen to the peak of the quintessential saint stage. What kind of forbidden pill did he consume? As far as Duan Lingtian knew, the higher one's cultivation base was, the rarer the forbidden pill was. A forbidden pill that could raise a mastery quintessential saint stage powerhouse's cultivation base to the peak of the quintessential saint stage was rare even in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. He wants to kill me? At the same time, Duan Lingtian discovered that Hong Su was glaring at him with bloodthirsty eyes. Moreover, Hong Su emitted a bloodthirsty killing intent. It was as though he would not rest until he killed Duan Lingtian. In the next instant Hong Su made his move. Under Duan Lingtian's watchful eyes, Hong Su was charging toward him at an extremely fast speed. He felt extremely threatened by Hong Su. Golden Crow's wings. Duan Lingtian instantly mobilized his Sun Saint energy and transformed it into a pair of Golden Crow's wings. As soon as the Golden Crow's wings flapped, he shot into the distance at an extremely fast speed in an attempt to increase the distance between him and Hong Su. However, as soon as Duan Lingtian cast the Golden Crow's wings, he discovered that Hong Su's speed was much faster than Hong Su's. Hong Su's speed was much faster than Duan Lingtian had imagined. In fact, he was even faster than Duan Lingtian. Hong Su was closing the distance between him and Duan Lingtian. Naturally, the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples present on the scene also noticed this. Heavens! What's senior brother Hong Su doing? Is he trying to kill senior brother Duan Lingtian? What a terrifying killing intent. When did senior brother Duan Lingtian offend senior brother Hong Su? Why would senior brother Hong Su consume a forbidden pill just to kill him? No wonder senior brother Hong Su asked about senior brother Duan Lingtian's whereabouts instead of the Primus house. As it turns out, he has an ulterior motive. He doesn't want the Primus house, he wants senior brother Duan Lingtian's life. I knew senior brother Hong Su wouldn't consume a forbidden pill just for a mere Primus house. As it turns out, he wants to kill senior brother Duan Lingtian. At the same time, the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples present on the scene had also noticed Hong Su's intention to kill Duan Lingtian. A few Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples hastily left to report this to the elders in the First Mind's punishment zone. Usually, there were no elders stationed in the Four Symbols Sanctum's residence in the punishment zone. Duan Lingtian, there's no need for you to run anymore. Your greatest advantage is your speed. Compared to your speed, your attack is much weaker. Now that I've caught up to you, do you think your high-grade offensive divine ability will be able to block my attack? Hong Su said coldly as he chased after Duan Lingtian. He was getting closer and closer to Duan Lingtian. My current strength is extremely close to the Saint Celestial stage. It can be said that I'm invincible below the Saint Celestial stage. Unless you've entered the Saint Celestial stage, you won't be able to escape death today. Hong Su spoke once more and his tone was emotionless. Hongshu, you're willing to consume the forbidden pill just to kill me? Duan Lingtian asked in a deep voice. Waves of shock surged in Duan Lingtian's heart. Although he knew Hong Su's strength would increase tremendously after consuming the forbidden pill, he did not expect it to be so exaggerated. It was extremely close to the Saint Celestial stage. No wonder Hong Su's speed was even faster than him even after he cast the divine ability, the Golden Crow's Wings. What kind of forbidden pill did senior brother Hong Su consume? It's so exaggerated. He's only a mastery quintessential saint stage martial cultivator, but his strength increased to such a terrifying level after consuming the forbidden pill. The forbidden pill he consumed is definitely not an ordinary forbidden pill. That's right. An ordinary forbidden pill wouldn't have such a terrifying effect. When the group of 4 Symbol Sanctum's disciples heard Hong Su's words, an uproar broke out immediately. All of them had an expression of disbelief on their faces. Senior brother Hong Su shouldn't possess such a forbidden pill, right? That's right. In the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, such forbidden pills are extremely rare. Usually, only quasi-celestial grade saint refinement masters who are skilled in medicine refinement Dao would be able to refine them. I heard senior brother Hong Su has a third-rate force behind him. If it's his clan, they might be able to obtain such a pill. Many 4 Symbol Sanctum's disciples whispered among themselves in shock. At this point, I'm not afraid to admit it. I consumed the forbidden pill to kill you, Duan Lingtian. Hong Su growled. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first time I've seen you. There's no enmity between us, so why do you want to kill me? Duan Lingtian asked again. I'll tell you all this when we're on the road to hell. Hong Su growled again. Swoosh. Duan Lingtian's expression changed completely at this moment. He could tell. Hong Su was determined to kill him even at the cost of his own life. In other words, Hong Su was even willing to sacrifice his own life to kill him. How great was the enmity between them for Hong Su to be so desperate? Upon hearing Hong Su's growl, the group of 4 Symbol Sanctum's disciples fell into an uproar again. They understood what Hong Su meant. Heavens! Did senior brother Duan Lingtian kill senior brother Hong Su's father or snatch senior brother Hong Su's wife? He's actually willing to sacrifice his own life to avenge senior brother Hong Su. That's right. Only the enmity of killing one's father and snatching one's wife would make senior brother Hong Su act so crazily, right? Many 4 Symbol Sanctum's disciples were shocked. Saber King Manifestation. When Hong Su was still a distance away from Duan Lingtian, he suddenly shouted and cast his intermediate offensive divine ability, the Saber King Manifestation. Immediately, a Saber King phantom that was as large as a mountain appeared around him. The illusionary figure of the Saber Emperor was more than twice the size of the one Hong Su had previously produced. Moreover, the aura of this Saber King manifestation and the gigantic saber in his hand was much more terrifying than the one he had conjured earlier. They were not on the same level at all. Upon seeing this, Duan Lingtian's expression changed drastically. At this moment he realized something. Hong Su, whose strength was extremely close to the Saint Celestial stage, was not only faster than Duan Lingtian, but his attack had also completely surpassed Duan Lingtian's most powerful attack. Even if Duan Lingtian had comprehended the 3rd stage of the Supreme Sword Dao Mental Cultivation method, the Sovereign Heart Sword, he might not be able to fight Hong Su on equal footing. Ghastly Shadow Thousand Slash. With another shout, the 100 Inscription Saint Saber in Hong Su's hand shone brightly. It seemed to have transformed into a bright moon as it shot toward Duan Lingtian. At the same time, the Saber King manifestation made its move as well. Following Hong Su's example, he swung his saber and targeted Duan Lingtian. At this moment, heaven and earth seemed to change color in the wake of the saber ray. The sun and moon dimmed. Oh no! Duan Lingtian, who was being targeted, watched as the saber ray that seemed to be able to cut through everything split into thousands of saber rays and interweaved into a saber net before charging at him. It made him feel suffocated. At this moment he felt as though a huge rock was pressing on his chest. Unbearable. It was too unbearable. Chapter 1977. The saber net swept out accompanied by waves of ghastly ghost cries, and its target was locked onto Duan Lingtian. One could imagine Duan Lingtian would definitely die if he was enveloped by the saber net. With my current strength, it's impossible for me to block Hong Su's saber. It seems like I can only transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. Faced with the menacing saber net, the vast Sun Saint energy in Duan Lingtian's body instantly stimulated the dragon energy that was hidden in every part of his body, causing the dragon energy to spread all over his body. Wherever the dragon energy passed, Duan Lingtian's body would undergo tremendous changes in just a blink of an eye. Duan Lingtian's hands and feet had transformed into dragon claws in just a blink of an eye. Dragon scales that shone with a cold light appeared all over his body, causing his body below his chin to transform into a humanoid divine dragon. Duan Lingtian's eyes turned cold as he stretched his dragon claws that had 9 claws and felt the explosive energy in his body. He lifted the 100 inscription saint sword and charged toward the saber net that was coming at him menacingly. It was as though he was going to fight it head-on. Duan Lingtian had no choice but to do so. After transforming into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, his speed did not increase much. Instead, his defense and brute strength had increased the most. With the combination of his brute strength and the Sun Saint energy in his body, he could unleash more powerful attacks. At this moment, Duan Lingtian no longer hid the fact that he could transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. After all, there was no way he could hide it. Faced with Hong Su who had consumed the forbidden pill, Duan Lingtian only had 2 choices. If he did not choose between the 2 choices, he would definitely die. One of the 2 choices was to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. The other was to use the celestial supreme treasure, the Jasper Celestial Sword. With his current Sun Saint energy, he was confident he could kill a powerhouse at the first form of the Saint Celestial stage if he wielded the Jasper Celestial Sword, let alone Hong Su whose strength was close to the Saint Celestial stage. However, to Duan Lingtian, exposing the Jasper Celestial Sword or his transformation into a 9-clawed dragon warrior was more troublesome. Once the Jasper Celestial Sword was exposed, even the sect leader of Zoroastrianism would be tempted. For this reason, he decisively chose to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. After transforming into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, Duan Lingtian's defense and brute strength was much stronger. If Hong Su came 7 or 8 days, I wouldn't be afraid of him even if I didn't transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. This thought appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind when he transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. If he had another 7 or 8 days, he would be able to comprehend the Black Turtle's barrier in the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda for another 70 to 80 days. Moreover, he was confident that he would be able to successfully comprehend and master the Black Turtle's barrier within 70 to 80 days. However, Hong Su did not give him any time and rushed over. After Duan Lingtian transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, he lifted his sword to meet the saber net formed by Hong Su's attack. The 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples widened their eyes as they stared at Duan Lingtian in shock. At this moment, Duan Lingtian looked completely different in their eyes. He had transformed from a human into a variant with a dragon's body. Is the technique of transforming into a dragon warrior? Many of the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples present on the scene had sharp eyes. They could tell Duan Lingtian's technique with just a glance. Dragon warrior? It said that every dragon warrior is a human who has been granted the ability to transform into a dragon by a divine dragon with more than 7 claws. Every divine dragon with more than 7 claws can only create 1 dragon warrior in their lifetime. I can't believe senior brother Duan Lingtian is a dragon warrior. I wonder which 7-clawed divine dragon created him to become a 7-clawed dragon warrior? The 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples did not forget to whisper among themselves as their eyes widened. At this moment, their attention was completely focused on Duan Lingtian. They did not notice that Duan Lingtian had 9 claws on each of his dragon claws. Otherwise they would have been shocked. This was because a 9-clawed dragon warrior was a legendary existence to them. Otherworldly Celestial. Duan Lingtian, who had transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, split into 5 as he charged toward the saber net. The 4 clones were extremely lifelike. Moreover, the 100 inscription saint swords in their hands were extremely lifelike as well. It was impossible to tell if they were real or fake. The otherworldly celestial was a high-grade offensive divine ability. It did not require one to dive down to cast it. Duan Lingtian, who had split into 5 clones, charged toward the saber net at an extremely fast speed with the help of the divine ability, the Golden Crow's Wings. If Duan Lingtian, who had not transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior before he cast the otherworldly celestial, he looked like 5 celestials. However, now that Duan Lingtian had cast the otherworldly celestial, he looked like 5 devils from the bottomless abyss. Moreover, he looked like a devil with a dragon's body. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 5 short-lived sword cries rang in the air as the 100 inscription saint swords in the hands of the 5 Duan Lingtian intertwined with each other and charged toward the saber net. At this moment, not only did Duanling Tian release the Sun Saint energy in his body that had been boosted by the elementary devouring tactic, but he did not hold back his powerful physical strength as a 9-clawed dragon warrior at all. Finally, Duanling Tian charged toward the saber net. Wherever the 5 sword gleams passed, over 100 of the thousands of saber gleams that interweaved into a net of saber gleams were instantly shattered. After Duanling Tian transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, his strength was extremely close to the Saint Celestial stage. Naturally, he was not afraid of the thousands of saber rays that were released by the Saber King Phantom that had left Hong Su's body. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. However, the thousands of saber rays that had formed the saber net were just too many. Although some of them were shattered by the sword in Duanling Tian's hand, many of them still landed on Duanling Tian's body. After a while, the 4 clones of Duanling Tian could no longer withstand the attacks and were the first to collapse. Brr. At the same time, Duanling Tian let out a roar that sounded like a beast's roar. Whoosh. At the same time, a thick and sharp dragon tail appeared behind him. It lashed out and easily shattered the saber rays that were attacking him. Even so, many saber rays still landed on Duanling Tian's body. Clang, 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 clang. Accompanied by the sound of metal colliding, the saber rays landed on Duanling Tian's body one after another, causing sparks to appear due to the friction between the saber rays. The dragon scales on Duanling Tian's body blocked the saber rays. However, there were still many deep saber marks on the dragon scales. If the saber rays went deeper, they would be able to break the dragon scales. Hong Su. After successfully breaking the saber net, Duanling Tian stared coldly at Hong Su, who was standing in the distance. His throat bobbed as he suddenly shouted. At the same time, the golden crow's wings on Duanling Tian's back flapped rapidly. In the next moment, boom, 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 boom. With the help of the golden crow's wings, Duanling Tian, who had a dragon's human form, charged toward Hong Su at an extremely fast speed. Hong Su's expression changed drastically. This was because Hong Su had used his full strength in the attack earlier. The full strength he used referred to his full strength after consuming the forbidden pill, the Kismet reuniting pill. Initially, Hong Su thought Duanling Tian would definitely die under his powerful attack. Although he was surprised that Duanling Tian had transformed into a dragon warrior, he did not think Duanling Tian would be able to block his full-strength attack that contained the divine ability, the Saber King manifestation, and the Saber technique, the ghastly Shadow Thousand Slash. Naturally, like the other 4 Symbol Sanctum's disciples, he thought Duanling Tian was only a 7-clawed dragon warrior. If Duanling Tian was only a 7-clawed dragon warrior, it would be impossible for him to block Hong Su's full-strength attack, let alone neutralize it. How can a 7-clawed dragon warrior be so powerful? The moment Hong Su thought of this, he instinctively glanced at Duanling Tian's dragon claws. This glance was enough to scare him out of his wits. 9 claws. This was because he could clearly see that after Duanling Tian had transformed into a dragon warrior, each of his dragon claws had 9 sharp claws. These were the claws of a 9-clawed divine dragon. 9-clawed divine dragons were legendary dragons. They were also known as the 9-clawed ancestral dragon and the 9-clawed winged dragon. This Duanling Tian is actually a 9-clawed dragon warrior? Hong Su's expression was ghastly. He did not move at all in the face of Duanling Tian's ferocious attack. This was because the effects of the forbidden pill, the Kismet reuniting pill, had faded a lot. It was impossible for him to unleash the same attack again. For this reason, he no longer had any intention to fight Duanling Tian. That's 9 claws. At the same time, many of the 4 Symbol Sanctum's disciples noticed the difference in Duanling Tian's dragon claw when they saw Duanling Tian charging toward Hong Su at an extremely fast speed after destroying the saber net formed by thousands of saber rays. Those are the claws of a 9-clawed divine dragon? A 9-clawed dragon warrior? Oh my god. Senior brother Duanling Tian is actually a 9-clawed dragon warrior. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The 4 Symbol Sanctum's disciples regained their senses one after another. An expression of shock and disbelief appeared on their faces as they stared at Duanling Tian. How's this possible? Chapter 1978. A 9-clawed dragon warrior. To the disciples of the 4 Symbol Sanctums, including Hong Su, this was undoubtedly a legendary existence. However, today they had seen this legendary existence with their own eyes. The scene before their eyes felt surreal. Many of the 4 Symbol Sanctum's disciples felt as though they were dreaming. However, after some tests they realized they were not dreaming. Everything before their eyes was real. Duan Tian was really a nine-clawed dragon warrior. I can't believe senior brother Duan Tian is actually a nine-clawed dragon warrior. After he transformed into a nine-clawed dragon warrior, even senior brother Hong Su, who had consumed the forbidden pill and raised his strength to the Saint Celestial stage, is no match for him. That's right. Senior brother Hong Su's attack earlier could be considered as the strongest attack he could unleash after consuming the forbidden pill. Now the effect of the forbidden pill must have faded a lot. It's impossible for him to unleash such a powerful attack again. Senior brother Hong Su is going to be defeated. Defeated? Do you think it's possible? Senior brother Hong Su wanted to kill Duan Tian earlier. Even if senior brother Duan Tian kills him now, it's only in self-defense. It won't violate the rules of Zoroastrianism. Do you think senior brother Duan Tian will let him go? The group of Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples whispered among themselves. They were shocked by Duan Tian's ability to transform into a nine-clawed dragon warrior. At the same time, they felt Hong Su was going to die in Duan Tian's hands. Currently, Duan Tian really wanted to kill Hong Su. With the help of his high-grade movement divine ability, the Golden Crow's Wings, Duan Tian charged toward Hong Su at his fastest speed. He was not worried Hong Su would be faster than him. This was because he knew the effect of the forbidden pill would not last for long. It wouldn't be long before the effects of the forbidden pill in Hong Su's body faded away. At that time, Hong Su would be a lamb waiting to be slaughtered in front of him. However, just as Duan Tian thought Hong Su would flee in a hurry when he saw him chasing after him, Hong Su suddenly stopped. He also noticed that Hong Su had no intention of fleeing. Hong Su stood there motionless like a piece of wood. What is he trying to do? Seeing Hong Su's reaction, Duan Tian became a little scared. When he was still some distance away from Hong Su, he stopped and looked at Hong Su with a frown. Even though he wished he could kill Hong Su. However, the current Hong Su was simply too strange. He did not dare to act rashly. Duan Tian. At this moment, a clear voice transmission resonated in Duan Tian's ears. He could tell that it was Hong Su's voice. Immediately, Duan Tian's face darkened and his frown deepened. Why was Hong Su transmitting his voice at a time like this? Was he trying to beg for mercy? Duan Tian, I know you want to kill me. However, this is normal. After all, the reason I'm here today is to kill you. Hong Su continued to transmit his voice. I'm transmitting my voice to you for the sake of my clan. I know even if I've consumed the forbidden pill, the Kismet rejoining pill, I'm still no match for you after you've transformed into a nine-clawed dragon warrior. Moreover, the effect of your assist-type divine ability is obviously longer than the Kismet rejoining pill. For this reason, it's impossible for me to kill you. Upon hearing Hong Su's words, Duan Tian's frown eased slightly. At least this Hong Su was aware of his own limitations. The Kismet rejoining pill is a very famous forbidden pill in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. The Kismet rejoining pill I consumed is only a low-grade Kismet rejoining pill. A high-grade Kismet rejoining pill can raise a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse's strength in a short time. Apart from that, the Kismet rejoining pill can only be refined by quasi-celestial grade Saint refinement masters who specialize in medicine refinement Dao. It's a very precious forbidden pill. Hong Su continued to say. Duan Tian had no idea what the Kismet rejoining pill was. However, his eyes widened when he heard Hong Su's last sentence. A pill that can only be refined by a quasi-celestial grade Saint refinement master? I've told you so much mainly because I want you to do me a favor. I hope that after I die, you can think of a way to send a message to my family so that they can quickly move away. Hong Su continued to transmit his voice to Duan Tian. To repay your kindness, I'm willing to tell you a secret. Lian, the first Silver Flame Elder of the Black Turtle Sanctum, used my clan to threaten me. That's why I'm here and want to kill you. He was also the one who gave me the forbidden pill, the Kismet rejoining pill. When Hong Su mentioned Lian, he gnashed his teeth in anger. Lian? Upon hearing Hong Su's words, Duan Tian's expression turned grave immediately. He believed Hong Su's words. This was because he still remembered when he first met Hong Su, there was a hint of pity in Hong Su's eyes when he looked at him. Previously, he did not understand the meaning behind the hint of pity in Hong Su's eyes. However, after listening to Hong Su's words, he finally understood. At this moment he could clearly feel the helplessness in Hong Su's heart. Under Lian's coercion, Hong Su did not have a choice at all. At this moment, Duan Tian's killing intent that was directed at Hong Su had dissipated by quite a bit. He no longer wanted to kill Hong Su as much as he did before. Currently he was much calmer. As it turned out, Lian was the mastermind behind all of this. You can report him to the enforcement elder. Duan Lingtian looked at Hong Su and said through voice transmission, if you think it's useless to report him to the enforcement elder, you can report him to the enforcement hall after you've passed the Saint Land's assessment and entered the Saint Land and become a Saint Land disciple. It's useless. Hong Su smiled wryly and replied through voice transmission, even if I successfully report him, he'll only receive a light punishment at most. After he's punished, he'll definitely hold a grudge. At that time, he might not dare to make a move on me because he's afraid of the rules of Zoroastrianism. However, my family will definitely be annihilated by him. If it wasn't for my clan, I wouldn't have been led by the nose by him. After all, he won't dare to make a move on me because of the rules of Zoroastrianism. Hong Su paused for a moment before he continued to say bitterly, before I came here he told me that if I don't kill you he won't let my clan go no matter what. For this reason, Duan Lingtian, I beg you, you must find a way to inform my clan. Ask them to move away so they won't fall into his evil hands. As long as you help me, I'm willing to do anything for you if there's an afterlife. When Hong Su reached the end of his voice transmission, he struck his head at lightning speed and committed suicide. Boom. When Hong Su's body fell to the ground, the group of 4 Symbol Sanctum's disciples, including Duan Lingtian, finally regained their senses. Duan Lingtian looked at Hong Su's body with a complicated expression before he reverted to his human form. On the other hand, the other 4 Symbol Sanctum's disciples were shocked. Senior brother Hong Su actually committed suicide? It seems like he was worried that Duan Lingtian would kill him. Otherwise, why would he choose to commit suicide so decisively? It's good that he committed suicide. Since he's going to die anyway, he might as well commit suicide. Although the 4 Symbol Sanctum's disciples were shocked by Hong Su's suicide, they could understand his decision. Useless thing. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who was sent by Lian to monitor Hong Su could not help but frown when he saw Hong Su committing suicide so decisively. However, when he saw Duan Lingtian in the distance, a hint of dread appeared on his face. Moreover, this Duan Lingtian is actually a 9-claw dragon warrior. I must inform Elder Lian about this as soon as possible. Naturally, he knew what a 9-claw dragon warrior meant. Soon after, a few bronze flame elders from the punishment zone of the 4 Symbol Sanctum's first mine arrived. The 4 bronze flame elders were respectively from the Azure Dragon Sanctum, the White Tiger Sanctum, the Vermilion Bird Sanctum, and the Black Turtle Sanctum's bronze flame elder. When they received the news, they rushed over anxiously. At the same time, they felt it was impossible for Duan Lingtian to survive. Perhaps Hong Su might not be able to kill Duan Lingtian if he was not in his usual state. However, after Hong Su consumed the forbidden pill, his strength had increased tremendously. It should not be difficult for him to kill Duan Lingtian. This was what they thought. They were anxious when they rushed over because they were worried something would happen to Duan Lingtian. They did not know what Duan Lingtian's background was. However, based on how the Saint Land Enforcement Hall protected Duan Lingtian, they could tell that Duan Lingtian's background was not simple at all. Otherwise, how could Duan Lingtian be protected by the Saint Land Enforcement Hall even though he only possessed a yellow innate spiritual root? They were worried the Saint Land Enforcement Hall would vent their anger on them because of Duan Lingtian's death. For this reason they traveled at full speed and were extremely anxious. However, when they arrived at the scene they were dumbfounded. This was because the scene before their eyes was completely different from what they had imagined. Hong Su is dead? Soon after, the Black Turtle Sanctum's bronze flame elder discovered Hong Su's body. Shock was written all over his face. After a long while, he finally shifted his gaze away from Hong Su's body and began to look around. In the end, his gaze landed on Duan Lingtian. He's Duan Lingtian? At the same time, the bronze flame elders from the punishment zone from the other 3 sanctums also shifted their gazes to Duan Lingtian. Chapter 1979. This Hong Su. Duan Lingtian turned a deaf ear to the arrival of the 4 punishment district's elders. At this moment, it seemed as though Hong Su was the only person left in his world. Everyone, please search for the complete picture. Dead. To be more precise, only Hong Su's corpse was left. Duan Lingtian shifted his gaze to Hong Su. Hong Su's voice transmission to him earlier continued to reverberate in his ears. He could feel Hong Su's anger and displeasure when he mentioned the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, Lian. He could also feel Hong Su's frustration and helplessness when he mentioned how he was threatened by Lian. Hong Su's emotions had affected him to a certain extent. Hong Su was originally the great senior brother of the Black Turtle Sanctum. He was about to enter the Saint Land and become a Saint Land disciple. He had a bright future ahead of him. However, Lian wanted to use him to deal with Duan Lingtian and forced him into a dead end. Duan Lingtian's feelings were complicated as he looked at Hong Su's corpse. "Don't worry. I'll help you inform your clan." Duan Lingtian took a deep breath and secretly made a promise to Hong Su. Naturally, he could not leave the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine now, and he had to inform Hong Su's clan as soon as possible. Due to this reason, he could only find someone to do it on his behalf. He already had a candidate in mind. Duan Lingtian transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior? Duan Lingtian easily blocked Hong Su's attack when his strength was raised to the Saint Celestial stage after he consumed a forbidden pill. Hong Su chose to commit suicide when faced with the pressure from Duan Lingtian? While Duan Lingtian was staring at Hong Su's corpse in a daze, the 4 Punishment District's elders learned about what had happened from the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples who were present on the scene. After knowing the ins and outs of the matter, their hearts involuntarily stirred up waves of shock and awe. Hong Su did not hesitate to consume a forbidden pill in order to kill Duan Lingtian. However, he did not succeed in the end. This was because he did not expect Duan Lingtian would be able to transform into a legendary 9-clawed dragon warrior. If not for that, he would definitely have succeeded. All of a sudden, the 4 elders looked at Duan Lingtian in a completely different light. The person in front of him was someone who could transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. Such an existence, even if placed among the dragons, would be worshipped by the dragons like stars surrounding the moon. Of course, the dragons mentioned here were not dragons from the lower province, but dragons from the upper province. Could it be, the Holy Lands Enforcement Hall is protecting him because of this? Thinking up to this point, the 4 Punishment District elders could not help but let their imaginations run wild. At the same time, Duan Lingtian regained his senses and looked at the 4 elders of the Punishment District. He nodded slightly and greeted them, "Greetings to the 4 elders." If it was any other time, perhaps they would feel displeased when they saw Duan Lingtian greeting them so casually. They would feel that Duan Lingtian did not take them seriously and was just brushing them off. However, when they learned that Duan Lingtian could transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, they completely dismissed this thought. A 9-clawed dragon warrior was a legendary existence. It was an extraordinary existence among the dragons. For elders, I'd like to look for Elder Peng Hua. Duan Lingtian did not forget that Hong Su had asked him for help. After greeting the 4 Punishment District elders, he immediately asked for help. Peng Hua was the first Punishment District elder he saw when he followed the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder Guixiong to the Punishment District in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. He was an elder from the Black Turtle Sanctum. He did not know anyone else in the Punishment District in the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. Now that he wanted to contact Guixiong, he immediately thought of him. "You're looking for Elder Peng Hua? I'll bring you there." Among the 4 Punishment District elders, the Black Turtle Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder took the initiative to speak to Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian had long noticed this Punishment District elder was wearing the Black Turtle Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder's uniform. When he heard his words, he immediately nodded his head. "3 elders, I'll leave this matter to you." After the Black Turtle Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder spoke to the other 3 Punishment District elders, he took the lead and flew out to lead the way. Duan Lingtian followed closely behind him. At this moment, only a group of 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples and the 3 Punishment District elders remained in the area where the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples stayed. They only retracted their gazes when Duan Lingtian's silhouette disappeared from their sight. To the 3 Punishment District elders, it was easy to deal with the following matter. Hong Su had consumed a forbidden pill in order to kill Duan Lingtian. Even if he did not succeed, it was still a heinous crime. Under such circumstances, even if Duan Lingtian killed Hong Su, Duan Lingtian would still be innocent. Let alone the fact that Hong Su had committed suicide. After the 3 elders from the Punishment District dealt with Hong Su's corpse and left, the 4 Symbols Sanctum's disciples, who had been silent for a while due to the arrival of the Punishment District's elders, could no longer remain silent. They whispered among themselves as they discussed among themselves. Their words never left Duan Lingtian's side. At the same time, Duan Lingtian was led by the Black Turtle Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder to meet the Black Turtle Sanctum's Bronze Flame Elder, Peng Hua, whom he had met when he first arrived at the Punishment District of the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. Duan Lingtian? When Peng Hua saw Duan Lingtian, he did not dare to put on airs and greeted him with a smile. "Elder Peng Hua, I've come to look for you because of one thing. I would like to ask you to bring our Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder, Elder Guixiong here." I need his help with something. Duan Lingtian looked at Peng Hua and did not beat around the bush. No problem. Peng Hua agreed immediately. He knew Duan Lingtian seemed to be in a hurry, so he immediately left the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine and went to the Black Turtle Sanctum. Soon after, Peng Hua returned. The Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder Guxiong had returned with him. Duan Lingtian, you're looking for me? Guxiong asked curiously as he looked at Duan Lingtian. If it was an ordinary Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who had come to look for him, Guxiong would not have bothered. He was the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder no matter what. How could he be someone who could come and go as they pleased? However, when he heard the person who was looking for him was Duan Lingtian, he immediately rushed over. The reason was none other than Duan Lingtian's innate talent. He had a bright future ahead of him. As long as he did not die prematurely, his future achievements would not be inferior to Guxiong's. Such a person was worthy of Guxiong's respect. Elder Guxiong. Duan Lingtian did not beat around the bush when he saw Guxiong. He also told Guxiong everything that Hong Su had told him through voice transmission. Guxiong's expression turned graver and graver as he listened to Duan Lingtian's description. A Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple was forced to such a state by Lian in broad daylight. This completely enraged Guxiong. Don't worry, I'll seek justice for him, Guxiong said in a deep voice. Elder Guxiong, seeking justice for him is secondary. I hope you can help to inform Hong Su's family as soon as possible and ask them to leave their homeland. If it's too late, I'm worried Lian will vent his anger on Hong Su's family for failing to kill me. Duan Lingtian said to Guxiong with a solemn expression. Elder Guxiong, please help me. Take it that I owe you a favor for this matter. Duan Lingtian did not even hesitate to promise Guxiong a favor for this matter. Guxiong could not help but feel shocked. According to what you said earlier, this is the first time you've met Hong Su. Although he has a favor to ask of you, is there a need for you to be so concerned about him? Elder Guxiong, please help me. Duan Lingtian continued with a serious expression. Shangxing. Perhaps. At this moment, even Duan Lingtian did not know why he was so concerned about Hong Su's matter. Perhaps it was because he pitied Hong Su. Or perhaps it was because he subconsciously felt that Lian had forced Hong Su into a dead end because of him. For this reason he subconsciously felt guilty. Don't worry. I know Hong Su's family. After I leave the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine, I'll look for 2 friends and head to Hong Su's family with them. I'll warn his family to leave their homeland as soon as possible. Guxiong promised solemnly to Duan Lingtian when he saw how serious Duan Lingtian was. Perhaps he could sue the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, Lian, for Hong Su's death. However, even if the Saint Land Enforcement Hall confirmed the truth, Lian would only receive a symbolic punishment since he was not the one who killed Hong Su. As for Hong Su's family, even if Lian killed them, it would not violate the rules of Zoroastrianism. Thank you, Elder Guxiong. I, Duan Lingtian, will remember this favor. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, Guxiong bade him farewell and left in a hurry. After obtaining Guxiong's promise, Duan Lingtian was relieved. He immediately returned to the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples' residence and entered the Primus house under the respectful gazes of the Four Symbols Sanctum's disciples. He continued to comprehend the first defensive divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, in the Zoroastrianism. Meanwhile, the news of Duan Lingtian transforming into a 9-clawed dragon warrior and defeating Hong Su without a fight had spread from the punishment zone of the Four Symbols Sanctum's first mine. When this news spread to the Four Symbols Sanctums, it caused quite a commotion. Duan Lingtian is a 9-clawed dragon warrior? Heavens! A 9-clawed dragon warrior? Why did he come to the Zoroastrianism instead of enjoying life in the dragons? When the people from the Four Symbols Sanctums found out Duan Lingtian was a 9-clawed dragon warrior, they were stunned. As far as they knew, a 7-clawed dragon warrior was equivalent to a 6-clawed divine dragon among dragons, while an 8-clawed dragon warrior was equivalent to a 7-clawed divine dragon among dragons. A 9-clawed dragon warrior was equivalent to an 8-clawed divine dragon among dragons. However, there was not a single 8-clawed divine dragon among the current dragons. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.